Jan. I feel like the principal.
Well, Israel, the front right here. Obviously, you've been kind of targeting this fight with Dricus for a while, even when you were a champion. So I guess now that you're only a few days away from actually getting to fight him, I guess, how was camp? What are the emotions this fight week? And yeah.
Camp was awesome. It was refreshing. It was one of the best ones, if not the best one yet. And the emotions this fight week, it's calm.
What in fight camp specifically, if you could say, made this one of the best ones?
Just we reshuffled the deck. We changed the way we just pretty much kept what was useful and discarded what was useless for us. And we upgraded the program itself and had a preseason, had training blocks, not just going hard all the time, and then getting injured and stuff.
Was that a conversation you had with your camp, or did you approach them and say, we got to get rid of some stuff?
I think they saw, the schedule that I was on and some of the other fighters in our gym. I had 5 fights in 16 months as a champion. And again, it's not just the fight itself, it's the work we have to do to get ready for the fight. So they saw the detriment that was doing to me and some of the other fighters. So it was good to refresh everything.
And obviously, I feel like you're a big energy guy. Like you kind of feel energy from people. Have
Yes.
you run into him at all in the hotel? And what energy are you getting from him?
Not really him, but I saw his coach and his brother, and they're cool.
You said, I don't care about belts, I'm coming for heads. And I think you said you wanted to show off yourself in this octagon. So I guess, how do you view success fighting Dricus? Is it beating him? Is it beating him spectacularly? Is it just putting on like a fight that fans are enjoying? How do you view success against him?
Success against him will be all 3.
Did you see the footage of his coach using a taser in fight camp when people were out of position and grappling stuff? He would like tase their feet and stuff.
Yeah, Eugene uses knives. He always has a knife on him. Is he here? No, he's not. If he does, he'll have a knife on him. So I've had knives pointed at me before. It's not this camp though. I was good. I was good this camp.
And I saw on your Twitter you posted some photos of yourself, but then you also posted like an audio of someone like reading about anger. It was like them talking about like.
Oh yeah, that was just a post. It was just.
So nothing to look into in that one?
Nah, you guys don't look too much into things. Sometimes I just post shit because it sounds cool.
Just 2 more from me. They announced Francis is making his return to MMA. So I guess a lot of people view him as like kind of the face of African MMA, just from the UFC to the PFL. So I guess what's the response from his return that maybe you felt in Africa?
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for what he's doing. He just went through something that I would never wish on anyone, and we've talked. I've checked up on him. And again, I respect Francis so much. He's an integral part of what we've done in the UFC. Right now I know there's competition between other promotions and the UFC and battles, but again, you can never erase history because the streets, the internet will always remember no matter what. And I think they'll fix this eventually, but it's just a lot of chest puffing. But I think hopefully the UFC is smart people. They'll understand and they'll rectify this eventually.
Are you referring to that video clip that came out?
Not just that, just everything. Like, just you can't erase Francis's legacy in the UFC. It's part of what we've done. It's forever in history, in stone. So trying to whitewash it or just not talk about it is silly. And I know he's fighting for, the PFL right now, but it's still history. You can't just turn a blind eye to it. So again, I'm sure they'll fix it eventually. This is how business goes with the UFC, and yeah.
The last one for me, unrelated to this fight, but November 1st, they're going to start implementing these new rule changes with the
12 to 6 elbow. Finally, Jesus Christ.
They've also redefined the grounded opponent, so you need more than just your hands. So I can hear you're happy with these changes.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's about time. That, but then also we got to the judging as well has to change. Not for me, but for us as fighters. I don't do win bonuses, so I'm all right. But for some of these other guys who have win bonuses and they get their win bonuses taken away, and that could be half their purse, could be 10,000, 20, 25,000 away from them because the judge decided, oh, you weren't moving forward enough. even though they were blasting the other guy in the face with kicks and punches, Yeah, it's good for the game, and I think these things should happen quicker.
Israel, we're talking about legacy a lot in this sport, and it's the reason why a lot of people do it. When you see what's happening with Francis and stuff, is it a concern that the turnover of fans in this sport is so high paced that legacies like his can be forgotten if the promotion itself doesn't celebrate them as often as they can?
It can be, but also, again, we're in the age of the internet, so I don't think it's going to be forgotten as easily as they try. But, yeah. Also myself, look, my last fight was atrocious for myself. I was not happy with that fight. And, the fans, the media, you're only as good as your last fight. They keep all these sometimes these sayings that don't make sense anymore. You're only as good as your last fight. I don't get it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay. But, yeah, so for me, even this weekend, I kind of want to do what I have to do. And when I do it, and then people are going to be like, fuck, how did we not see this coming? How did we underestimate that he was going to do this? Amazing. So yeah, it's just time to remind people.
You took this time off. We good?
Classic.
Good. We took this time off. How long do you think you've added to your own career by just forcing yourself to take this break?
I don't know, but I've raised the level of athlete that I am by taking this break, by doing the right things to let my body heal and heal my body, and even just remove myself from the game completely for, 3 months or whatever it was. But yeah, I don't know how much I've added, but I know definitely I've raised the level of fighter that I am.
Is part of that the motivation, right? Not just to beat Dricus, not just to show that you're still the top level, but the narrative in this sport, sometimes it's like, oh, once they start losing, they just lose and lose and lose and then they're done. Are you excited to come back and be like, no, that doesn't happen to every elite fighter?
They said that after New York when I fought Alex Pereira, they were like, oh, nah, he's done. He should pack it up. They always say some dumb shit like that. But a lot of these fans, they're not, they've never done what we've done. So, yeah. I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. I know what I can do. My team knows what I can do, and it's just time to show people what I can do.
Israel, over here. Just a lot has been made as obviously like you taking the time off and making a lot of changes in your life. Of all those changes, which ones would you say was like the hardest to make and probably required the most honesty from yourself with your own self?
Breakfast. No.
Breakfast?
No. There's a few. A tedious one was probably not really hard, but like the little things like the ice baths and using the hyper ice machine, because it's just, I'm tired. I've fucking just done VO2 max workout. I get home, I gotta put this fucking moon boot on all the way up to my groin and then sit there. So these little things, and once you do them, you're fine. Every time I'm about to hop in a cold plunge, my mind always tries to say no, because that's self-preservation, but I just override that, and it calcifies your mind. You get used to saying no to your urges of relief or whatever, and then you learn how to go through the fire or ice.
You mentioned before that the vibe is calm this week. Why is that calm? I think also because a lot of people expected, like, man, it's going to be a crazy fiery build-up. Where's that calmness coming from?
Experience. A lot has happened in the last 11 months. I've had to go through some life shit myself. My life really, my personal life really is, like social media or shit like that all the time. So for me, I had to go through a lot of life stuff and a lot of soul searching and a lot of, what do I want from this game? What do I want from life? Where do I see myself? All that kind of question. What do I want my legacy to be? All these questions I had to ask myself and have an honest talk to myself. And yeah, eventually I just knew when I came back, I wanted to be like reinvented. I wanted to be a different, what did Kobe say? Same animal, but a different beast. Yeah.
Israel.
Oh, sorry, not done yet.
Yeah.
Almost done. I was going to say, that face-off that you and Dricus had, it went for ages, but it was such a calm presser, and then the energy changed. What was it that made the energy change so abruptly?
So for me, I just I don't know what to expect, but he tried to pufferfish me, and then he realized pretty quickly I'm not the one you can try and just blow smoke at. And yeah, he felt my energy, and he understands. He knows who he's dealing with now. That moment right there let him know. He got to look into my eyes and see who I am. Yeah, I don't know what brought it on, but it's just deja vu. I've been here before. I've battled with the best. Like, no one can intimidate me. No one can intimidate me, and he definitely won't do that.
Something that you've been saying a lot is like you want to show him who he is. Take us into that. What exactly does that mean? Who is he?
You'll find out.
All right.
This guy, he's been waiting.
Israel, what are you expecting from Dricus on fight night, and what do you make of being, the odds-on favorite for this one, and Dricus, the champ, is the underdog?
I don't know. I didn't really know I was the favorite. What do I expect from Dricus? I just expect him to bring his best. He says he feels amazing, so I'm like, good. That's what I want.
Israel, just to your left. You're obviously one of the most active champions throughout your first run as champion. Would you be looking to return to that same activity level you had with a win over Dricus this Sunday?
I'm not even looking past this Sunday. I'm just looking at this Sunday. Yeah, and after that, I'll deal with things as they come.
I heard you mentioned, there was a bit of an injury when you fought Sean last year. I guess how important was that time off for you just to heal the niggling injuries and things that, with your body you could eventually get right with that time off?
It's really important. You have to. But again, I've always fought with something wrong. Like 2 weeks before the Miami fight, I did my knee. I didn't pull out. It was really bad. I could have pulled out, but I just knew this is an opportunity of a lifetime, and it paid off. So, yeah, sometimes you roll the dice, you hit. Sometimes you get snake eyes. But yeah, I just had to pull back and just manage my risk better.
Yeah, and with the win over Dricus this Sunday, you'd become only the second three-time UFC champion in history alongside Randy Couture. I guess, do you have any thoughts on that sort of accomplishment?
No, I haven't really thought about it. It's just focus on Dricus and the rest will come.
Thank you.
That's right here. Dricus said in an interview a few days ago, I can't remember who, that he needs to be perfect to beat this guy. That was his quote. Does that already show to you that there is some maybe doubt in his mind if he doesn't put on a flawless performance, that he maybe knows he can't win this?
He needs to be perfect. I don't know. We'll see. You have to ask him.
Yeah, I will when he comes in here. I know you said to Oscar yesterday when he kind of broke the news of Dana saying Sean Strickland would get the next title shot, you needed a little time to think about it. I'm just wondering if you formed any thoughts over the past 24 hours. I know you said that you thought the performance was atrocious, so it was exciting to potentially get that back.
Again, I'm different now. I'm not trying to look towards the future. I'm putting everything on this fight. I'm not a guy who needs to fight for the belt because I've never done it before. This is my one dream. I'm just focused on this fight, beat this guy up, and then I'll deal with whatever comes next when it comes.
You mentioned during the 11 months off, you did that soul searching and hope you found the personal happiness, but you mentioned legacy. You thought about what you want that to be. Can you share what feelings you had or thoughts towards what you want your legacy to be?
That's for myself.
And just last thing, that 11 months is the longest break you've had since you started combat sports in 2010, which is just insane to think about. That's like a normal break for most UFC champions we see. So for you, how much have you kind of evolved during that time, and how much do you think the freshness might affect your performance?
I think you guys will see the best me you've seen yet. I'm the biggest I've ever been, the most muscular I guess I've ever been. I feel faster. I surprise myself sometimes with the speed that I'm hitting with. I'm not really hitting hard, I'm just really sharp. And I feel like a blade in this one. So yeah, it's been good to refresh myself and reset myself, and now let's get it.
Israel, just over here, man. Just a couple quick ones from me. First off, I know you love the Saw theme, but I guess when you look at this fight, Dricus is a guy that moves forward, and you're a guy that's known to really set up some really great traps in that octagon. Are you kind of seeing these kind of parallels between the theme, the movie, and kind of this fight more than ever going into this one?
I didn't really think about Saw too much. The Saw theme is just a fucking track that will get my skin fucking goosebumps every single time. But yeah, definitely. There's already traps that's been set. There's been many traps that have been set way before this fight was even announced. But yeah, I'm sure they're working hard as well to try and set traps. But yeah, this is the game we play. I like these games, even coach versus coach. I'm sure they like it as well. Let's see who has the better game plan. Let's see who has the better strategy. So yeah, there's traps that have been set, and there's traps that will be set. But then sometimes we just have to fucking fight, and then we're gonna fight this weekend.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. Undertaker was on Logan Paul's podcast and mentioned that he really liked that tribute that you did to him in that walkout. Just quickly, if you had to sort of compare a couple of guys on the team to a couple of other wrestlers, we're looking Dan Hooker, probably Stone Cold Steve Austin, and who else would you sort of compare, thinking on the Kakai, Huge? Who would Huge be?
Fuck, as the Iron Sheik. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's me.
Sorry, so just one more. We saw the photos of your custom shorts. They might be the dopest ones yet.
Thank
just
you.
tell me what the inspiration was behind them, and how happy are you that I know you preach, fighter uniqueness and getting to show personality, that you've been able to do some of that now.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. It's good to bring back a little bit of personality. And I think maybe 5 months ago, Hunter told me that was going to be a thing, even before the gold gloves were a thing. So I'm happy I picked those and I designed them and I sent them to him months ago. And then the gold gloves came through. And I wasn't really a fan of them at first, but then I saw them with the shorts. I'm like, you know what, they kind of work together. But I think for instead of the gold gloves, maybe black with the gold trim, with the gold UFC on them, that looks even cooler. The gold gloves they look good with my shorts, but some other fighters, they look kind of shit. And it's not really my problem, but yeah, the lightning is nice. The yellow flash, speed, whatever you want to say it is. We are electric.
Just 2 more questions.
Israel, just over here. UFC Fight Week is always busy. However, last time you fought, you had a documentary screening, as well as lots of other things going on that were kind of secondary to the fight. How is it now to not necessarily have those things?
It's good. I don't mind. I can juggle so many things. I have great people around me. Tim Simpson, Ashbel Castro. My father. They always take care of the business side of things. But the buck stops with me. But yeah, it wasn't really. I think it's just everything. It wasn't just the fight. It was everything around it, like the travel and whatnot. So this time I just try to sit my ass at home after I've done my hiatus and just work. And speaking of the documentary, it'll be on Apple TV in North America, finally, September. So I'm happy for at least the rest of the world to finally start to see this movie. It's been a while, coming, but yeah, it's not really it's a sports documentary, but I even like seeing. There's a picture I have of an old lady knitting on a plane and watching it on the flight, and yeah, that speaks volume to the kind of movie it can be. It's not just about fighting; it's about me, myself, and dealing with this lifestyle I got thrusted into.
In that documentary, there's a theme of letting go of anger within yourself, and there's a part where you talk about kind of being worried that when the anger goes, what will be the motivator? When you let go of that, and then the next fight doesn't necessarily go your way, what is that feeling, and has anything replaced that anger as the motivator?
It's not the main motivator. Anger is not the main motivator. Anger is an energy source. It's like fire. You can use it to cook for you. You can use it to help you out, but it can burn your house down. It's just learning how to firebend. And he's talking about, my fire is big. My fire is this. Well, I'm the fucking avatar.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more. This guy.
Thank you so much.
Better be good.
All right.
I'll fucking shuffle you.
I appreciate it. How does it feel to fight in Perth alongside your fellow Kiwis, Dan Hooker and Kai Kara France, and how do you think they're going to go in their fights?
That was all right. That was all right. What do you expect? It's going to be good.
I'll tell them that, Dory.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. When you bleed together in the training, you sweat together in training, it's time to go to war. We're brothers in the trenches. And again, people sometimes, they get it twisted. They think, Israel is just fucking got the entourage like this and that. It's like, nah. These are moments in history that the people who have helped me get ready need to see in real life. So we bring a lot of them with us to experience these moments. It's not just whoever is on our team, the mob that you see us rolling with, they are all integral parts of the team. It's not just there for looks or show. These are all soldiers. And when we go to war, we hold the fucking line.
Yeah. And the last question, Dana White recently shared that Sean Strickland is going to be getting the winner of you and Dricus after this weekend. How do you feel about that? And do you think he should be in line as opposed to the winner of Rob Whittaker?
You're not listening, are you? You're not. We've already answered that. We talked about that earlier on. All right, that'll be the last one. But yeah, thank you. This was fun. And yeah, till next one.
What's up, gang?
Jack, over here. Other side. Obviously, it's been a little bit since we last saw you. I assume due to the injury and stuff. So I guess physically, how are you feeling, and how is camp? Coming off of what looked like a pretty serious arm injury.
Yeah, physically never felt better. Had to make some changes, obviously with such a long break. I did a longer camp. I usually do an 8 or a 10-week camp, and this one I did 18 weeks, split into 3 6-week blocks. It was obviously just because that residual fitness you usually carry through camp to camp probably wasn't there. And the goal with splitting it up like that was to try and make sure that I didn't roll into fight week kind of limping over the line with the volume. It was that I would come into fight week bursting through the door in a really good shape physically, and I think we've done that.
Will you try to do that for camps moving forward, or is this just because of the long layoff?
No. I think having done the work, now if I back up quickly a couple times, but I think being first up, anytime I have a break of sort of longer than 3 or 4 months between fights, that I'll be looking to do something similar to what I did, because it worked really well.
How soon after the injury could you go 100% in camp?
I got up to going about 90% after 2.5 months, 3 months. And then I had a little setback, which put me back a few weeks. And then the last 6 months, I've been at 100%.
And obviously a little bit of a change up in opponent. I think it was Gavin Tucker now to Herbert Burns. And I think you said something on your Instagram where it was like he was kind of on our radar to begin with. So, when they came to you with Herbert, you seemed fine with it. So did you have to adjust anything in camp, and were you actually looking forward to fighting Gavin before he fell out?
I was really looking forward to fighting Gavin. The style that Gavin brought, I found really interesting, the way he chains his takedowns together and that sort of thing. He was a southpaw, so the only thing we really had to change over to Herbert was doing more orthodox stuff. And obviously, Herbert does a lot of things well, and he does a couple of things exceptionally well. So it was about just locking in on those things that he does exceptionally well and making sure that I'm prepared for that.
Did you have time to bring in anyone specifically to kind of help you with those specific things that he excels at?
I'm pretty lucky. I'm from Absolute MMA, so we got Lockie Giles and guys who are at such a high level. And Simon Carson, my coach, obviously, as soon as we got the change, he programmed some stuff in. And like I said, we kind of thought we were going to get Herbert when we got Jamal a few, last year. So we'd kind of already done some stuff in preparation for this fight.
In terms of his career, what are you expecting from him in there? He's on a bit of a slide. He's been knocked out quite a bit recently. So do you think he's going to come in there like, I have something to prove?
Yeah, look, people being, you see comments and you hear people talk and it's like, you can get Herbert to quit, show him the door, all this sort of stuff. I'm prepared for Herbert to come in there with his back up against the wall, and he's got a last name to prove, he's got a career to hold on to, he's got everything on the line in the same way that I do. So I'm by no means taking this as a fight where I think it's going to be easy to get one up over him, but in saying that also the skill difference is going to be massive between the two of us, particularly on the feet, and if the door's there, I'm going to show him it.
And last one for me, unrelated to this fight, but I'm sure you've heard, but November 1st, they're going to start implementing those new rule changes with the 12-6 elbows would be allowed, and they've redefined grounded opponents. So, what do you make of that, and are you looking forward to, these rule changes?
100%. Those rules have needed to go for a long time, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, Jack, just over here.
My man.
Hey, you're in Perth. Have you checked out Ascot Racecourse yet?
I did. I went down to the stables at Ascot on Monday morning and went and watched track work at Belmont Park, which was great. Saw a few 3-year-olds that looked pretty talented getting around, and I think one of them's in next Thursday, so I might have a bit of a dabble there.
And did you get any momentum at all on getting the horse on your fight trunks?
No, look, I think when I asked for that, I knew that it was probably a stretch, but I think it's important to plant the seeds for these things going forward. I think Connor was excellent at that. Connor sort of touched on things that he wanted to do later in his career, earlier in his career, and then sort of as they came to fruition, it's kind of like a succession plan for himself. And I think even though being on the prelims and first fight back after 11 months was probably unlikely to get the horse on the shorts, I think it just makes it a big story when I do get up to the top of the card and have the opportunity to do it.
And you mentioned about sort of planning those almost storylines in your career. You've talked about Ilia Topuria and the weigh-in window and the scale and all that. Is that beef with him still there?
Look, to be honest, I've just been watching a lot of Ilia tape lately. I really like the way he moves as a fighter and how he slows down and lets the fight come to him. As far as that, look, he was cutting weight. Like, everyone turns into a bit of a dick when they're cutting weight, even me. So I'm sure we can let bygones be bygones. But hey, if once we get to the point end of that division, anyone can get it.
And final one from me. Your teammate Khan Offley has joined the Breaking Leg Club. How do you welcome him into that club out of Absolute MMA?
Yeah, well, he's about my height, he's about my build, and we spend a lot of time together. So it makes sense that we both get onto that leg breaking stuff. But Khan has worked exceptionally hard to put himself in the position to get on the Ultimate Fighter, and now he's in the final. And I know my coach Simon is flying straight out from Perth to Vegas to go and corner him for that, and I'm really hopeful and excited that he can join me in the UFC.
Jack, just one quick one, just to your left. Obviously, Lisa Kiriakou, teammate of yours, fought on the road to UFC this year, and obviously she's back next month fighting against Cynthia Calvillo. I guess, what are your thoughts on her? Obviously, the UFC hasn't signed any Australian females in 4 years, so she's close to that door. I guess, what are your thoughts on her and her career moving forward?
Look, Lisa, as much as she feels like she's been around for a while, she's only been training for 6 years, so she still has a tendency to sometimes make mistakes that you wouldn't get at that top level of the sport. But in saying that, athletically and commitment to the sport, she has everything there that she needs to get to the top level. This Cynthia Calvillo fight is a chance to go in against someone who has fought at the very top end. So she's just got to go in there and do what she's capable of, which is take her out. And that's another one who I'm hopeful that she does the job, and then the UFC put her on the radar.
Jack, right here, over here.
Hey, what's up, cuz?
What's up, bro? Obviously, the last one, it didn't go the way you wanted, but we've seen the run that Chepe's on right now in the UFC. So is that one you want to run back in the future? And also, what does it say about you to see how well he's doing in the UFC right now?
Yeah, look, nobody's happier for Chepe to do well than me, to be honest. That franks my form line, given how well I was doing in that fight early. You saw how dominant he was within the grappling and how the pace he just put on against Damon Jackson on the weekend. And you saw that he wasn't able to do any of that stuff against me in the first round. So it puts me in a really good position. As far as running that one back, if we both end up in that top 10, top 15, I'm sure that not only me and Chepe will want to run it back, but I'm sure the UFC and the fans in general will want to see that again. But as far as, holding on to that loss and having any kind of, personal vindication to go back after him, there's none there. I'm on my path and he's on his path, and if we end up crossing again, then we'll see what happens.
And then I know you did some golfing with one of our boys, Salim. What's the handicap sitting at right now?
Yeah, the handicap's down to about 12, but I reckon that day we got out on the course and the marshal came out to us and said, "Hey boys, we're here to look after you, so what are you going to do?" And Salim looked at him and goes, "Hey, can you just bring us like a couple of shots every hole until we finish?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, all right." And I was like, "Oh my God, this guy's mad."
Jack. No, you go first.
Okay. Just two quick ones. Back on the last loss, I think I also saw a video of you. Some people were saying "Oh, it was an injury that you lost and all this," but then you were very complimentary and said, "It was a good judo throw. I got hurt because of what he did." Were you hearing a lot of noise that people maybe not making excuses, but kind of
Yeah, you got to give people their flowers when they do things well, and we prepared for Chepe to be a really skilled judoka, and he beat me by throwing me with a really skilled judo throw. So to take credit away from him and say that was an accident or a fluke is just a lack of understanding of the sport and how the sport works. It's the equivalent of Conor McGregor catching you with the left hand and you go, that was a fluke. Well, it's not. It's what they do. So good on Chepe. It was a good throw. I'm as far as pathways going forward, the surgeon told me that the good thing about elbows is once they heal, they're better than they ever were. So I don't have to worry about it going forward now that I've fully rehabbed it. And I'm full steam ahead.
And then just last quick one for me. Can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Izzy?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been lucky enough to spend a fair bit of time around Adesanya. He's a superstar person and he's a superstar athlete. And from the moment I walked into the hotel and saw him this week, he just has a different energy about him. There's something about him that's electric. And this isn't that wasn't there. I felt, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh, this man's on."
Jack, just back here.
Hello, mate.
Hello. Before that fight, you were riding a 9-fight win streak, and this isn't a question to take away what Chepe did, but you suffer that loss. It is an odd loss, and then you're forced to sit on the shelf. how is your momentum as a fighter at the moment?
I think it's important with wins and losses to take both and see what you can do better. So I kind of just looked at my UFC career as a whole. Rather than that specific fight, I just looked at, okay, since Contender Series, what things can I do better and what things have I done well? And then instead of looking outwards about, maybe like, do I need to go to America? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? I just kind of looked inwards, like what can I personally do better? So a couple of things like complacency in the grappling. Like I think if you look at the Jamal fight, I won that fight, but there was times in that where I could have been a little bit more active in the grappling to really put myself as the winner of that fight. So the things I've worked on over that 12 months is still the stuff from that last 4 fights that I thought I could have done better anyway.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
How you going, Jack?
Good, mate.
Recently you mentioned that you were looking to fight maybe in March or April because you had recovered pretty well from your injury. Can you talk us through that a little bit, and are you looking to get in another fight by year's end?
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to, when I'm planning my fights, I don't look an hour past, Sunday morning. Yeah. So Sunday morning at 5:30, I'll be on the bus, and at 9 o'clock, I'll be on the bus back to the venue, and that bus ride back here will be the first time I think about the next fight that I'm going to have. As far as fighting in March or April, I was ready to go into a camp at that point, and the UFC had told my management that, potentially we can get him on around that time, but we're coming back to August in Perth, so if you're happy to just lock in for that, then we'll lock you in and we'll get your opponent 8 weeks out. And I said to my coaches, hey, with the long layoff, let's just do a long lead in. And they both agreed with me, so we did the long lead in, we got the opponent 8 weeks out, and even though that changed a few weeks ago, it's been smooth.
And you mentioned recently that you'll be unhappy with anything less than adding momentum to what, to your fights, and you wouldn't just be happy with an okay performance. Can you again talk us through that, and how has that affected your preparation for the fight?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think every performance I've had in the UFC has been a C. Like I don't think I've really shown anything that I can do. I think if you look at some of the fights I had before I got in the UFC, I felt better going in. There's probably an adjustment period to the bright lights and the big stadiums and the media and all that sort of stuff that now I'm a little bit more familiar with, that I'm going to be able to take in my stride with me. But like I said, that momentum that I had going into the Chepe fight, if I'm not there or higher by the end of Sunday morning, I'll be disappointed with the performance. I'm going out there to make a statement that I'm back on that top 15 trajectory, just as Chepe will be now, and that's it.
Thank you, man.
Jack, before you go, you famously were representing yourself for a little while there. Obviously now with Chosen Advisory, what was the decision behind that, and kind of what benefit has it brought you?
So yeah, basically, I was represented before I got in the UFC, and then there was a bit of change with management stuff that happened, and I ended up representing myself just for the first thing when I was already in the UFC. That was becoming more and more difficult as your profile gets bigger, as more things become out of your control, and the only people that I would trust with my career and my money and all that sort of stuff is Chosen Advisory. There's no other management that I would have even looked to go towards. So I rang Daniel and Tim from Chosen and asked them and said, hey guys, look, I really need someone, would you guys be happy to take me on? And they were more than happy to, and it's been smooth sailing since then. Everything we've set out to do, we've done pretty quickly.
Jack.
Hey mate.
Hey, just talking about this fight being in Australia, obviously a little bit far away from your actual home, but are you a fighter that prefers the comfort of being within your own country on fight week, or do you prefer to be abroad and get away from any distractions and fully focus in on the fight?
Positives and negatives of both, for sure. Like it sounds so silly, but like the smells of things in your home country and like Woolworths and Coles and knowing which aisles to go to and stuff like that actually makes you feel good. And I'm allowed to bet on the horses here, where when I go overseas, you get IP blocks, so I don't have to worry about a VPN and that sort of stuff, which is a nightmare. The little creature comforts are great at home, but as far as the crowd energy, I feel like you've got to, as an athlete, get yourself hyped up off both. Like I'm really going to, like you guys will see on the walkout on Sunday, the kind of energy that the crowd's going to bring for me, and I'm going to feed off that. But if I'm going to Mexico to fight a Mexican or Brazil to fight a Brazilian, they're chanting at me, I'll be feeding off that as well. You've got to go both ways. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hello.
Jairzinho, obviously another big test in front of you with Tai Tuivasa, but you had to come all the way to Perth for this fight. So I guess how is camp, and what are the emotions now that you're only a few days away from actually getting to fight Tai?
Big fight, yeah. I feel good. So a long way from home. Other than that, I've been here for 10 days, and I have a good time, make new friends. So, yeah.
Were you happy with the matchup with Tai? Because you fought in these grapplers, but you've found a lot of success against strikers. And Tai is obviously famously, he comes in and he likes to throw hard in there against fighters.
I mean, happy is it's not happy, but it's a fight, and we in the heavyweight division. So I'll fight anyone in the heavyweight division. So style-wise, it's better, but it's MMA. I'll never count the wrestling out. So, yeah.
And what are you expecting from Tai when you do fight him on Sunday morning? He's on a little bit of a slide in his career, but fans still love him, and he still seems to want to go out there and fight.
Like when I look at him, when I look at Tai, is a guy. He doesn't show fear, and that's what I'm looking at this Sunday, upcoming Sunday. So if he comes out different, that'll be weird. But show no fear. That's it. So when he go forward, he's dangerous, and that's what I'm counting on.
And there's some footage of him. He was sparring with Alex Pereira when Alex was down here, and he was touring. So do you think you can actually learn some stuff from Alex, and what do you make of them training together?
He definitely can learn something from other fighters. Alex is a great fighter, by the way. So yeah, I saw it, and I can't say much about it, but yeah.
And two more quick ones unrelated to your fight, but in November, the new rules are going to be implemented with the 12-6 elbows, and the grounded opponents will be changed. I'm curious, did you hear of this news, and do you like the new rule changes?
I just heard about it now, but it's sick. 12-6, cut somebody open, split them in half, sick.
And last one for me, can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
Crazy. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm a big fan of Izzy. I met Dricus a few days ago. Cool guy. I hope it's a hell of a match.
Jairzinho, right here. You've had a couple fights, and there's been no movement at the top of the division, really. So we keep asking you almost every media day, your thoughts on John Jones and Stipe and Tom. I'm just curious, though, given what Tom did just to Curtis Blades, who do you look at as the true heavyweight champion right now? Is it John Jones or Tom Aspinall?
I mean, let's be honest. John Jones is the real champ. Tom did what he's supposed to do as an interim champ, because he's in line for the next championship fight. But John Jones is the real champ. Nothing to take nothing away from Tom. He did an amazing job, and yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. If you want to stay in line.
Sorry, just over here. Sorry, mate. Recently you said you went home to Suriname to help prepare for this fight. How did that go, and how has that helped you prepare for this fight with Tai?
I went home, spent some time with my friends and family, and I started my camp there. It was good. It was perfect. It's all that I needed, and now I feel fully charged. I can't wait to go to war this Sunday.
Recently, Tai mentioned that he was excited to fight you because he's not fighting a wrestler. Did you see those comments? And also, I want to touch on what you said recently in an interview where you might show off some more of your MMA skills. What exactly did you mean by that? Are you going to stick with your traditional kickboxing and striking, or could we see some wrestling? Could we see some grappling from you?
I did saw the comment he made. I even posted on my Instagram. Come on, it's MMA. Why should I not wrestle? If I have an opportunity to wrestle, slow him down, for example, why not? It's MMA. I know I'm an amazing kickboxer. I did it many years. I'm a champion in 10 different organizations. So it's all a matter of time to see who's going to be the best this Sunday.
And recently as well, you said that you're very accustomed to 5-round fights. Do you see this fight with Tai even getting out of to the third round, or do you think it's going to end it pretty early than that?
You know what I think? I go for the first round knockout all the time because I know I have the ability. But if it goes to the second round or the third round, I might take my time, finish it off, make it a proper knockout, brutal, crazy, highlight.
Thank
you
you,
know.
man.
Good. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Right here, obviously massive card here in Perth. I think this is like, your first big, is this your first big media day for a pay-per-view? So I guess what are the emotions now that you're only a few days away in this massive fight week here in Perth?
Yeah, it's feels pretty similar to the last ones. I'm just very excited to go. I can't wait.
Why is it so similar? Because, a big pay-per-view like this, there's a lot of attention, especially for the main event in this part of the world. But to you, why is it so similar?
I suppose mentally I just prepare for all situations. So yeah, I'm going into all these fights with the same mindset. I'm just ready. I'm just focused on the fight. I'm ready to scrap.
Does it feel any different? Your last fight was technically your first UFC win after the Contender Series, so it's like you got that monkey off your back, and now you can. Yep. So the pressure is a elevation or relief of pressure.
Yeah, 100%. Pressure's gone.
And your opponent, Alex Ray, is obviously a famous brother, but he's had long bouts of inactivity due to injuries and stuff. So what are you expecting from him on Sunday morning?
Yeah, I'm expecting him to come out pretty sporadic. He's 0-2 in the UFC, so I think he knows, he's got to pull something out of the bag. So I'm ready for everything. Like I've said in my interviews before, I've trained like I'm fighting for Superman. Fighting Superman, like I'm fighting a god out there. So no matter what the odds say, no matter what anyone says about how this fight's going to go, I'm treating it like he's the best in the world, and I'm going to go out there and be better.
Can you watch much tape on him because of his inactivity, or are you a guy that even watches tape on his opponents before his fight?
There's not much tape, but yeah, I don't watch much tape anymore. My coaches do that for me.
And I think you saw something on your Instagram where you said your coaches were kind of cooking up something special for this fight specifically. I'm sure you're not going to give away anything, but what did you mean by that specifically, or what did you mean by that?
So the new gloves, we've just got a new style we've been working with how I'm punching. My power's gone up 20 to 50%, so I feel like when I find this guy's chin, I definitely will put him to sleep. It'll be pretty devastating.
You said had to change up your punching because of the new gloves?
Yeah, so just being pinpoint accurate landing on the front knuckle, because obviously they've gone from 4 ounce down to 3 ounce, so I don't want to break my hand in there.
And then two other quick ones unrelated to this fight, but in November, they're going to implement the new rules where 12-6 elbows will be allowed, and they've redefined grounded opponents. I'm curious, did you hear of these changes, and are you happy with the rule changes?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I think, those rules should have never been in the first place. So I'm excited for the change.
And can I just get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
Crazy fight. I've been going back and forward all week on who I think's going to win. I think I'm going to go with Izzy and Zax.
Tom, just to your left, mate. How are you?
Hey, bro.
You've had 4 fights inside of a calendar year, including your Dana White's Contender Series fight. How important has that been for you, being so active at an early stage of your career?
Yeah, man, it's important for a couple of reasons. I want to show the world my skills and who I am, and also it just proves, a few idiots think that I struggle to make weight, and it's like, well, I'm making weight 4 times in a calendar year very easily. So there's a few good positives out of it, and I just want to keep winning and keep getting to the top.
And obviously this was the first camp for you with a win inside the UFC. I guess, was there any noticeable difference having that pressure lifted off you? I imagine, the last camp would have been a little bit in the back of your mind. So was it nice at this camp not having that little thought in there?
Actually, last camp I didn't really think about that until it got really close. Like I actually didn't even realize until a couple of weeks out. I was like, oh, I better win this fight because going 0-2 is not a great idea. So yeah, that camp we didn't have much pressure on. We knew where the mistakes were made and we knew how to fix them. So my coach just said to me, hey, let's just get straight back in. Let's go again. Let's fix it and get a win. So I just trusted in him and it all worked out.
But obviously you got Stewart Nicoll making his debut this weekend, teammate of yours, and I guess what are your thoughts of him making his debut this weekend and seeing him here with you this week must be a pretty special moment for Team Compton.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I've been watching him since I started the sport. You know, I grew up. He's a pretty big name around Australia on the local scene, so it's awesome to see him get his shot. He's a little savage. I can't wait to see him go to work. You guys are going to love what he can do.
All the best for the Sunday.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, Tom, you're the biggest favourite, on the card, $8 going in. Do you feel like the UFC wants you to become a star?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely some push there, but again, like I said before, I'm not too concerned about that because, you know, it's a fight. This dude's got 13 wins. They're all finishes, 11 in the first round. Like, he's very dangerous. He's a black belt. And again, he's backed up into the corner, right? He's 0-2. Like I would say it's safe to assume that if he loses this could be it for him. So I feel like he's gonna come out guns blazing, and yeah, I'm not too worried about that. I see it as 50-50.
You almost seem a little bit more relaxed than you usually are. It's normally a bit more sort of violence heavy, and that sort of aggression is normally heightened, especially on fight week. Do you feel more relaxed now?
Yeah, I feel like I've matured into my position in the UFC. I feel like I really belong here, and I don't need to say anything to prove what I'm going to do. I know what you guys see on Sunday is going to be spectacular, and it's going to be enough to show the world.
And final one, when you're in the Dana White Contender Series, your opponent was kind of trying to play mind games with you leading up into the bout, sending you shirtless, angry photos. Have you had anything similar to that in your UFC career, and then how have your interactions been this event?
Yeah, no, it's all been fine. Me and Alex have run into each other a few times. He's a super nice guy, you know. He had some opinions on me before the fight a couple of weeks ago that he said in an interview, which I'll keep to myself. But I like that little bit of fuel. Like on the Contender Series, I went in with that fuel, and we saw what happened. So I've still got that fuel, but this time I'm just going to keep it to myself.
Do you still predict violence?
Absolutely, yeah.
Tom, over here to your right. You mentioned about Stewart Nicoll being on the card, and when you were coming up, he was someone you looked up to. In this situation, it's kind of swapped. You were in the UFC, and he's making his debut. How is that for you to kind of be the guy leading the charge in this scenario?
Yeah, it makes me proud. You know, I feel like I'm representing my team well. I feel like I'm paving a way for the boys, showing everyone in the gym that like this is a achievable dream. But still, he was always going to be destined to be here. You know, like he's an absolute savage. If you don't know who he is, you're going to find out because, yeah, he's a maniac. So it's going to be good to watch him. But yeah, just proud.
And as mentioned, you're a guy who kind of likes to lock in, especially fight week. When you have that, when you've got a teammate going through his debut and you kind of want to be there for him and celebrate with him, but you've got your own job to do, what is that like for you?
Yeah, so I'll fight night, I'll shut off with that. We'll have two teams essentially working on the same corner. So, you know, I'll be able to celebrate with him after the fight and find out how it went and watch it, but I'll be warming up at the back. Like, I'll be focusing on me, he'll be focusing on him, and then we'll get together after.
Will you be able to watch his fight out the back?
I won't be watching it, nah. I'll be warming up.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Any more guys? All good?
Cool, thank you.
So boys, I think we get rid of that. That's CKB tradition. I don't even know how that started, but I just know whose team I'm on.
So there's nothing specifically personal, Monster.
I just don't even know. I don't even know what that's about, brother. I don't know. But Israel, if Israel don't like the Cobb, I don't like the Cobb. That's being a good teammate.
Well, Dan, it's obviously been a while since we've got to see you fight in this part of the world. So I guess how excited are you to be in Australia? Not obviously not home for you, but closer than Las Vegas or Milwaukee or any of these other places you've had to fight.
Yeah, just listening to everyone cry about how far they had to come. It's just funny to me because it's like I have to do that every single time. So there's the sympathy. The sympathy tank here is absolutely empty, boys. Like I've had to fly to England, which is twice as far away as this. So yeah, there's no real sympathy there, but it's cool to drag it down to this side of the world. Perth crowd last time I was here was absolutely wild. They blew the roof off the place, and I'm expecting the same thing come this fight.
It's obviously been a while since we've got to see you fight. You've had fights booked, but you had to pull out.
I've had fights, just not in the UFC, brother.
So I guess physically, how are you feeling headed into this one?
Nah, I feel good. Body's at 100%. Yeah, just everything I feel like has come together in the last year. So I'm just looking to showcase that all.
Well, besides getting tattoos, how'd you spend your time?
Oh, that did take up a majority of my time. Yeah, getting tattoos, but I have actually been in the gym. Contrary to popular belief, when you're injured doesn't mean you stop training altogether, or you'd probably never get anything done. So I have been in the gym. I have had a camp in there, mixed in there. I was only like a week out from the Bobby Green one, 2 weeks out. That was like my second and last sparring session when I re-broke my arm. So I have had like a full training camp in there, even though I didn't get to go out there and put on a show for everyone. But yeah, I'm just excited.
And they matched you up with Gamrot. Do you like this matchup, or were you hoping for someone else?
I love it, brother. I love that sexy little number he's got next to his name. That's what I'm coming for.
Did you have to bring in anyone specific for this? Because his last few fights are very grappling heavy.
Yeah, it's just been a pest of a training camp, really. Just everyone diving at your legs for the past 6 weeks. I can't say it's the most fun I've ever had, but getting hit in the head a lot less is probably it's not bad. It's not bad.
So are you hoping you beat him, you get his number, and then all these names that I feel like you've been calling for the last several years now, they might be forced to take that fight?
Oh, they'll have to, brother. They'll have to. That completely changes the direction. Like a lot of the big names in the division are all coming off losses. Oliveira, Poirier, Gagey, Chandler, like all of these guys are gonna want something I have, which is gonna be a 3-fight win streak.
You've been in the UFC for 10 years now. I think coming either relatively soon or within the next few months. And back then it was guys like you and James Tahuna and Mark Hunt, and you're the kind of the last one standing from that part of the world with this new generation. So do you feel like a veteran in this sport in the UFC, or do you still feel like you're like the young guy, like fighting and making a name for himself?
Yeah, I feel like I did get into the UFC very young. Like I was only I think I just turned 24 when I first got into the UFC, and I was not a well-developed fighter by any means in the imagination. So yeah, I've had to do my development in the big show. I've had to do my development against the best guys in the world, and you're obviously like trying new things. Like some fight completely southpaw, some fights I'm orthodox, some fights I'm wrestling, some fights like all of these tools I've just been. But you've got no choice. If I would have just got into the UFC and stayed I was like a forward pressure fighter that would wear you out, come forward and fight you on the inside, which is the dumbest move humanly possible as a 6 foot tall lightweight. So I've just constantly been working on things, and I feel like everything's just coming together now where I can showcase a finished product. I feel like I just got good in the last year, so it's like, well, I'm gonna quit now when I just got good. Doesn't make any sense.
So do you watch your old fights and you're just like, oh no,
dumbass. If I watch some old fights and I think about how crap I actually was, like I would wipe the floor with myself.
Which fight do you watch that you were like, all right, that was the turning point?
No, they're all like trying new things, trying different things, and it's just I feel like the level has definitely changed from what it was. Like even the guys from our gym coming through into contender series, like Cam Ralston, Navajo Sterling, Aaron Toe, like these boys are they're completely well-rounded fighters. Their level is there. You have to come into the UFC now ready to compete with the elite of the division, and you have to be incredibly well-rounded, or it's a waste of time coming in altogether. I feel like 10 years ago, like I come in as just a forward pressure striker. You'd sink. You wouldn't even get into the UFC now. I feel like the level in the last 10 years has grown exponentially.
Just two more for me unrelated to this fight, but November 1st they're going to implement those new rules with the 12-6 elbows.
Current rules, so like they're not a concern. They're no concern to me, brother.
Obviously, I assume I know your pick for the main event, but how do you see that fight actually playing out between Israel and Dricus?
I'm usually chomping at Israel's heels and sparring, trying to piss him off, but I just stay away from the cob during this fight camp. He's just hitting like an absolute truck. I can't be bothered anymore.
Hi Dan, why did you throw a drink at a guy at a rugby game the other day?
Why didn't you ask this on the pub talk? We did a pub talk yesterday. You're going to do it now.
I wanted you to have a crowd.
No, story time. Nah, so Kai invited me to watch our home team, the Warriors, and as you know, I'm a very passionate Warriors supporter. And there was another cob from the other team, the Parramatta Eels, and he was standing up there and he was rubbing it into the boys. The boys are getting pumped. I think we were 20 points down at before halftime, and every time they score, he's kind of rubbing it in. So I said, I'm going to start getting into this bloke. So we were absolutely spraying each other. It was like the most fun I've had the game in a long time. And then every time they scored, he was getting up. He was getting up and he was looking at me and he was going, "How you like that, Hangman? How you like that?" Usually, if you've seen me before, usually I throw my shoes at people, but I have my Timberlands boots on and I don't throw my Timberlands. That's one rule. That's why I strap them on. So yeah, I fired a drink at him, but he messaged me after and he's like, "I wanted to grab a picture with you. Where'd you go?" And I said, "Oh, Kai made me leave." So I had to, Kai made me go home. But no, I'll message him, I'll follow him on Instagram now. I said, we'll go to the next game together and we can just spray each other, sit next to each other.
It's a wonderful story.
Hey Dan, right here. You signed a new UFC contract before this fight, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you get everything you feel you wanted out of that?
Money, yeah. Heaps of it.
So I know you had like talked in some other interviews, like Ariel and stuff. You love bare knuckle. Maybe that would be in your future. Do you think that's kind of pushing this to the wayside? Do you think you're here till you're done fighting now?
At the end of the day, like the UFC's the big show, brother. Like you can go and fight anywhere else. Like regardless of the money, it's competing in the UFC, competing against the best guys is where I want to be. Like that will happen. I can fight bare knuckle when I'm 40, mate. That's my retirement plan.
Big fight, obviously, this weekend, Dan. But could we get UFC Auckland back in the headlines again? How much do you want to see that happen over the next year or two? Potentially with this win, another main event.
Oh, I think with a big win here, we'll be dragging another event back to Auckland. Pretty soon. Even though I said every time I fight in Auckland, I say I'm never going to fight in Auckland ever again, just because the amount of stress it puts on my life. But we need to drag it down for another show. It's been too long.
And Dan, a lot of people might not know, but when all the CKB boys come out, a lot of the time Izzy dips into his own pocket to fly a lot of them out. Do you do something similar?
Oh. Making me look bad, Cobb. I don't get paid anywhere near what Israel gets paid either, brother. But nah, like I'll pay for a few tickets. I'll get a few tickets out, brother.
Well, speaking of teammates you're close to, I mean, Aaron Toe, he's going to be on the Contender Series. You've been with him for a very, very long time. You were coaching him. He's now a teammate of yours. Can you speak about that relationship?
Yeah, I'm excited for like Contender Series is built for Aaron Toe. Like he's an action pack. You can't calm the kid down. So he goes out there and he looks to take the guy's head off. Much like myself, I think that's why we get along so well. But yeah, it's built for him to go out there and to get a finish. He'll be hunting it from from the bell ringing.
And final one from me. After it's all said and done, obviously it's going to be a while with that new deal, but how does Dan Hooker want to be remembered in mixed martial arts?
No, I'm not too concerned about. you can't control you can't control how other people perceive you. You ask 1,000 different people who Dan Hooker is, you're gonna get 1,000 different answers.
Dan, I just got one right here. Right here, bro.
So I was like slowly trying to scan. Like, where's that?
I just kind of wanted your thoughts on Jalen Turner's last performance, because like it seemed like when he was in there with you, you guys were like willing to fight to the death, and then he sort of makes the mistake when he fights Moicano about walking away. He knocks him down.
He's done a few that. He's done that a few times. Yeah, like I definitely don't walk away when I like, what am I gonna knock the guy for having a heart? Like, yeah, he's just too nice.
Just one for me, Dan. So recently you mentioned that this fight's going to be exciting only because you're in it, and even Gamrot has said he knows he needs to fight an exciting fight. Do you think he's going to do that voluntarily and change his style, or you're going to have to force the matter?
God no. Nah, like, yeah, I'm going to make it exciting. That's why they put this fight together, because they're like, who can drag it out of him, and it's like, I'll press the action.
And you mentioned recently that the fighters that were lined up for you were more like Benil Dariush and BSD, and you wanted to fight in Perth, and now you're fighting Gamrot, who is the higher ranked fighter. That's like a masterstroke from you now, waiting and pushing the matter.
Genius, Cobb. Absolute genius.
Dan, just back here as well. 10 years doing anything is incredible. 10 years being a professional athlete is insane, especially there's ups, there's downs, there's wins where you get injured and you have to take time away. Over the course of those 10 years, and especially during lower moments, what keeps you going?
Nah, you just got a chip on your shoulder. You just got something to prove. You just don't wanna. You just know what you're finally capable of actually achieving. I think that's all it is. And then, yeah, you didn't come this far to come this far. You're gonna pull the handbrake up now. Nah, we're going till the wheels fall off, baby.
You mentioned about looking at yourself when you walked into the UFC, your style and your literal ability. But looking at that man's mentality compared to your mentality now 10 years later, what do you see and what would you have told yourself?
Oh, definitely would have told that kid to dream bigger. I never thought that, MMA in New Zealand and Australia and the UFC would grow to the level that it has grown to like, I didn't even know it was when I got in the UFC. Like, it would have been a few months before that I didn't even know that it was possible. For someone from New Zealand, training out of New Zealand, to get a UFC contract, to see how far it is now. We've had 3 UFC events in Auckland. We got a New Zealand champion. It's just wild how big it's grown. Like, I just never anticipated that.
Now, what is the big dream?
Yeah, the belt, because you get pay-per-view points and heaps of money.
Thank you very much.
Dan, longest layoff of your career coming into this fight. Obviously, the physical benefits of that are clear. But mentally, what has this done for you? Do you feel like it's kind of reignited a bit of your passion for the sport, a bit of your hunger?
Oh, yeah, just time away gives you, like, perspective, like, definitely, like, you appreciate it. You appreciate all these moments, but it's definitely, mate, you don't eat for a long time, you get hungry. Like, that's just, there's no real rocket science to that. So I just haven't eaten for a long time and I'm starving.
Yeah. Would this be the healthiest version of Dan Hooker we've seen in the octagon?
Oh, I am good, but that's blind luck. That's blind luck. You go into fights, some of them injured, some of them, there's always something going on behind the scenes. But I'm experienced enough to know that you actually don't know. You don't know till you wake up on the day and you get ready. Sometimes you feel like $1 million, sometimes you feel like dog shit, and I feel like I get my hand raised either way this weekend.
You mentioned that sexy number next to Gamrot's name.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, just how far towards the front of the queue do you think a win puts you.
Well, who else? Who else is there? There's the only other guys. Like you ain't getting a title shot off a loss. Like that's just, if you want to be next in line, you're gonna have to like what now? Arman's next in line. Who's after that? Like the title fight's booked. Arman is It's like who's after that? And it'll be the winner of this weekend is the next guy.
And just finally, congrats to you and your lovely wife on the imminent new arrival. I'm wondering what that's doing for your motivation levels heading into this one.
Yeah, that's a bit of a funny one, because you can't really say you're doing it for your wife and kids, because she couldn't care less whether you whether you fought in the UFC or not.
Dan, you were the last fight announced for UFC 305, and Izzy was pushing for you to be on the card. There was a lot of speculation about your opponent. I think Dricus Close was mentioned, Benel Dariush, and then Bobby Green. We saw how that went at UFC 304. He said he was willing to fly down to Perth to fight you. Then it landed on Gamrot. Was it hard for him to find you an opponent? I mean, what was the names being mentioned to you before landing on?
No, I didn't have a single name mentioned to me, brother. That's what my manager Ash is for. He takes care of all of that. I was just hell bent on being on this card. I said I'll fight any man on this card. Get me the best bloke to put his hands up. All of those, like obviously people tag me and stuff, and then Close comes over, and I said I'll smash his head off. Dariush, I'll smash his head off too. Like, there's no man I would not fight on this date.
Didn't you say you were going to fight Charles here? Did you just make that up?
No, well, I was actually, they flew me over to do Volk shows. There's like a show they do, like the Fox Sports show, and we were like on the show, and then they asked if Volk had anything coming up, and he had to be like, nah, I got nothing coming up. And then they asked me, they're like, Dan, have you got anything coming up? And I didn't want to be boring, so I kind of just spun a bit of a yarn. I said, well, actually, I do have something to announce. Could see the UFC PR team having an absolute panic attack in the corner, but it worked out well. I think maybe the UFC saw how excited all the fans were to have me a part of this card, and so it might have worked in the end. Might have worked.
Was there any part of you that saw the excitement and then you were like, oh, maybe I will fight Charles in Perth?
Oh yeah. It sounds good to me. It sounds good to all of the fans. Why not?
Dan, to your right.
Gotcha.
Hey, just as a gym, obviously you got a few boys on this card. Have you spoken about like everyone like winning on the card and what that feeling would mean for the gym? Or is that like a bit of extra motivation for everyone individually?
Yeah, like you kind of just focus on your own role. Like we've done it before. We've had the 3 wins in the same night before. There was the big show in Melbourne. I think it was me, Brad Riddell, and Israel all getting our hand raised in Melbourne. So we know what that feeling feels like. You know what I mean? We know what's at stake. But this is fighting, brother. It's just teeters on the edge of a knife. It can go 1,000 different ways.
And previously, before, Israel said that Eugene carries a knife around during training. Is that true?
That's 100% true. That's 100% true.
Is that just
it does work. It does work. I definitely listen. I have learned that, if I've learned anything, is that if a man has a knife, I listen to what he's saying a lot more.
Do you think that's more effective than a taser?
I think so, because a taser will hurt for a bit. I feel like a knife will hurt for a lot longer.
Just unrelated, obviously you said you're a big Warriors fan. Can I just get your thoughts on the season? Obviously a bit disappointing, and then obviously
next year's our year, boys. Like there's no real stress about it. There's no real stress about it. Next year's our years, lads.
Thank you.
Boom.
Casey, other side. It's obviously been a while since we've seen you in the octagon. It's been even longer since we've got to see you fight in this part of the world. So I guess physically, emotionally, how was camp, even with the opponent change so close to the date?
Yeah, great camp and super excited to be here in Australia. It's been a long time coming for me for this homecoming, 4 years I think since I fought in Australia, so just super excited that I'm here.
When they announced this card, did you think it was a no-brainer that they would put you on this? Because they had been to Australia since you came to the UFC, but this part of the world never really got to see you fight here.
Yeah, I think that as I was like building and growing and they had me in the Apex and the Australia cards kept happening, I was like, one day. And then last year I got booked on Sydney, but something happened and I fell out, so I got booked on this card and I was super excited. Then I lost my opponent and I was like, oh my God, am I never going to fight in Australia in the UFC? So a little stressful for a minute, but grateful that Luana took the fight and I'm still here.
Well, Luana, like you mentioned, she's on a bit of a run in the UFC and she's very popular now. So is this even just a better case scenario, like a bigger named opponent and more eyes on you here in Australia?
Yeah, for sure. You know, she's got a lot of hype right now and 3-0 in the UFC, I think. So it's exciting for me to be able to take that away on Sunday. And, you know, I know what that feels like. I've been there and done that. So the confidence that she has, I'm sure, coming in, she feels great. So even better for me.
Well, I was kind of, if you could expand on that, like you were 3-0 in the UFC and you were like this name that everyone was fighting, and now she's in that same exact position coming to your part of the world. So what do you think she is feeling coming into this? Because yes, it's a quick turnaround, but she seems to be like, you know, the more popular fighter in this division right now.
Yeah, she'll be feeling like pretty confident, I'm sure. You know, she just got a big finish and everything, so I'm sure that she's riding a wave of positivity, but I feel good too, and she has to get in there and fight me at the end of the day, so we'll see what happens on Sunday. And
then after your last performance, you posted something on Instagram that during the fight, you just couldn't do what you were doing in camp. You said it was a good camp, even in your last fight. So did you have to adjust anything just mentally coming into this so you don't feel like that again?
Yeah, I started talking to a sports psychiatrist as well after that last fight, but I'm not sure if that even had anything to do with it. I talked to a lot of people who have been in the UFC for a long time, and they all say that some nights you just, you know, you don't show up. You can't expect to be on 365 days of the year, and, you know, you pick a date 10 weeks out and you're like, I need to be ready on this day. Some days you're not, and, you know, you just got to learn to roll the punches.
What is it like being in a UFC, you know, a high pressure UFC fight, and your body is not reacting to what you want it to do?
It's kind of weird, but to be honest, like when you're in the cage, you kind of drown out all the noise, so it does just feel like something weird is happening, but I guess there's just a lot of people watching, and then once everything's happened, the fight's over and you're leaving, you're like, oh wow, there was actually a lot of people here that just saw that happen. So yeah.
And then two quick ones for me, unrelated to this fight, but November 1st they're going to implement those new rule changes with the 12-6 elbows and the new definition of grounded opponent. I'm curious, did you hear about these rule changes, and what do you make of the new rule changes?
Yeah, I heard about them and I love them, especially the knee one. You know, I think people play that game too much where they try and put their fingertips down so that they can't get kneed. So just gives us more opportunity to land damage in close. And then the 12-6 elbows, obviously, that was famous with John Jones. So yeah, it's great.
And then I'm sure I know your answer to this, but how do you see the main event between Israel and Dricus playing out?
I'm obviously rooting for Israel being here in Australia. You know, I would love to see him get the win in front of a relative home crowd and get that belt back.
Casey, just over here to your left. This is your first camp, not at Extreme Couture in Las Vegas, I guess. What was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a fresh set of eyes, I guess. You know, I think when nothing's broken, you don't fix anything. So just now that I had a couple of losses or setbacks, just look back and evaluate myself and things that I could do differently, and just get a couple of different opinions as well from people that I know have great fighters and that I trust.
Is that something that'll be a permanent move moving forward, or just kind of playing it by ear?
Yeah, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I'm trying to really focus on myself now instead of focusing on certain opponents and stuff like that. So just getting myself to be the best that I can be. So whether that comes with a different move or going back or back and forth or whatever, we'll just see when it happens, you know.
Thank you.
Yes, over here.
I'm sure you've heard this one before, but your strikes landed per minute record is the highest in the UFC, 8.71. What do you just kind of attribute to that? Like your high output, no one else who's had as many fights as you've had is even close to you in that statistic.
I just like to fight, and I like to hit and get hit. I know it's probably not great, but as you can tell in the Roxanne fight, the most fun that I'm having is sort of when it's a scrap like that. So yeah, I guess I just like to throw down.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go down over time with the more fights, just on average, but
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I was gonna say, do you feel like that's something you will be able to maintain for a long time?
Yeah, I pride myself on having like really good cardio. It's something that I make sure that I maintain year round, so I'm always ready to jump in. So I love having high cardio, high pace. I feel like it breaks a lot of people. So yeah, it's something that I definitely look to have my whole career.
And Casey, you have obviously your Scottish roots, Scottish flag, training in America, but you did a lot of your time in Australia. Can you talk about how important fighting in front of Australians are and kind of getting the love from Australia?
Yeah, so like my whole MMA career has been here in Australia pretty much. My whole amateur career was here. I started MMA here, put everything together here, and then had my first 4 professional fights here in Australia. So going to the live events before I was in the UFC, it was always my goal to be in the UFC one day and fight here in Australia. So very excited that it's here.
And obviously the regional promotion you came up in is on this weekend as well. Is it important to kind of go back to your roots to see where you came from to obviously the sort of star you've become now?
Yeah, I've been to a lot of Eternals since. Obviously it is run by my dad, and my little sister fights as well, so I've been back to a few. I've done some commentary for them and stuff, so I'm starting to get like involved in more aspects of it, and it's super cool to see the growth of Australian MMA. Obviously this card is filled with Australians. A lot of them are people who came in at the same time or after me as well, so there is this new generation, and then sort of seeing the people who are coming up next, especially the females. For me, I like to follow that, so just seeing all of the regional Australians who are doing well.
Well, I mean, while you're on that, who is next?
In terms of females?
Yeah.
I would say Jacinta Austin's probably the closest. She's been doing really well. I think maybe 1 or 2 wins away from getting in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey, right here. You had one of the more interesting celebrations, I think, when you beat Antonina Shevchenko. How do you think your celebrations compare to Raygun? And are we gonna see another celly after this weekend?
You are actually. I was practicing it this morning when I was training, so I'm not gonna give it away though. You gotta wait and see what my celebration's gonna be.
And I know there's a bit of history there between you and Veronica Hardy. She's on a bit of a win streak now. Is that one you want to get in the future?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to fight everybody in the division. You know, I think I've always said that. I think that as long as you can stay in the UFC and continue to do well, you'll end up fighting everybody. So, yeah. And sure, I guess it's kind of a little bit of a grudge match, maybe.
Cheers.
This guy stole my question about ray gun. Thanks, mate. But I'll go on to obviously a bit of history as well, because your fight on Sunday will be only the second women's bout at UFC in Perth.
Mm-hmm.
But you're creating a little bit of history because you'll be the first Australian woman to fight in Perth. What does that mean to you?
Wow, that's awesome. I actually didn't know that. But yeah, super cool. My last regional win before I got signed to the UFC was actually here in Perth as well. So it's been something that I've sort of been looking at as a manifestation kind of, or something, I guess, something along those lines. But it was my best performance regionally. So I'm looking to put my best performance here for Perth and get the crowd going. And it'll be nice to have a crowd who's actually behind me this time, because obviously in Houston I had that incident, I guess, but it's nice to have some Aussies around.
Mitchell, it's been billed as Australia's biggest fight weekend because it's obviously not only a massive weekend for you, but massive weekend for your family. Obviously, Eternal 87 on Saturday night with the prolific Cam O'Neill, and obviously I see Robin O'Neill over there as well. So a huge weekend for your family, and what we mean to cap it off with a victory on Sunday and a bit of breakdancing in ray gun style.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. So my dad's done super well on building Australian MMA. You know, obviously he's not done it alone, but he's been a big part of building Australian MMA regionally here. So proud of him, and I hope to make him proud on Sunday too.
Casey, just down here, talking about Cam, when was the last time he saw you fight?
He comes to pretty much every one of my fights now. Yeah.
So he'll travel with you with the UFC?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he was in Vegas in December. He was in London when I fought there as well. So he just comes to as many as he can.
Is there any other family who will get a chance to see you now that it's back in Australia?
Yeah, my mum's flying in from the Goldie, and my sister's here obviously, and then a bunch of friends from the Goldie are coming down as well.
How is that for you when you've got kind of friends and family around you, but you've got to focus on the task at hand?
It's all right. I actually experienced it kind of in London. My family who live in Scotland came down for that one, so I've got some practice of it now, and I like to just like let them be and see them after the fight.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
doing? Hope this works first time.
Just grab the mic right there.
That's a good start. There we go.
So I guess first UFC media day. How's fight camp been? How's fight week been for this massive card? And welcome to your first media day.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Just walking up the stairs, a lot of people here, a lot of cameras. It's it's been unreal. Yeah, definitely not what I'm used to. But yeah, the training camp's been really good. It's been awesome. Best one yet. Like I've just been able to focus on this fight. And yeah, the whole experience has just been just unreal. Just an amazing experience.
What specifically about this, besides being able to just focus on your opponent, but why was this the best camp you've had?
Like I got a few sponsors on board, like after signing with the UFC, and just been able to just train and not have to worry about working too much. I was able to reduce my hours. So yeah, just been able to train and focus on fighting. Whereas opposed prior fights that I've had to manage, working full time and all the rest. So yeah, this has been the best camp for sure.
Where were you working?
Just working for myself, just do electrical work. And I run a martial arts school as well, which I'm still doing now. But yeah, I own and run a martial arts school with my wife. And we got 3 kids as well, so it's just like, it's a lot on our plate. And but yeah, this has been able to take some of the weight off, like signing with the UFC, and it's a dream come true, and it's living the dream. Like get to train full time, pretty much. My job now is just coaching at my gym. So still martial arts, still in the game, still teaching the next generation, sort of thing. And it's like I said, dream come true.
When you say electrical work, is that like going to someone's house as an electrician? Like what exactly were you doing?
Yeah, I'm an electrician by trade. So yeah, just doing whatever. Lights.
Is that equally as hard on the body?
Yes and no. Yeah, like like working for 12-hour days or whatever is rough on the body, but I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore. Don't have to crawl in roofs and all that sort of stuff, and get underneath dirty houses and stuff. I'm pretty stoked about it.
And obviously, what do you make of your opponent, Jesus Aguilar? Did you know who he was? Did you watch tape on him? What do you make of his skill set?
I've seen it. I've seen just the one fight. The one he's probably most famous for. Knocking out like another Aussie from Gold Coast, Shannon Ross. I think that's made the runs. I saw that, but I didn't know him prior. Besides that fight. What do I think of him? I think he's a power puncher with good wrestling. He's had 3 fights in the UFC now and a Contender Series fight, so he's got some experience on me. But I'm excited about this fight. I think it's a good matchup for me.
So normal, because most of his wins have come by submission, and then his most famous one, like you said, though, was that pretty violent overhand. I think it was an overhand right that knocked him out. And you see sometimes grapplers can, when they feel that they can knock someone out, maybe they don't use their grappling. Maybe they get overconfident in their hands. Are you expecting that, or did you prepare for the guy that has 6-7 submission wins under his belt?
Most of his submission wins, like their guillotines, like 5 of them, like they usually like off a reactive takedown, like someone shoots takedown and grabs them, or like he's striking. He does strike. Like I watched some older film of him, and he does throw hands and then shoot for takedowns. But I'm just ready for everything he brings. But I don't know what he's going to bring. Whether he's going to I imagine the game plan would be to stay on the feet and strike a bit more. But we don't know until we're in there.
And then two ones unrelated to your fight. I know you're relatively new into the UFC and everything, but I don't know if you saw, but November 1st, they're going to implement those new rules that allowed 12 to 6 elbows and redefined grounded opponents. So I can see the smile on your face.
Yes.
Do you like those rule changes?
I love those rule changes. Yeah, absolutely. Bring back soccer kicks as far as I'm concerned. I love those rule changes. Groin strikes, bring them in. I love it. 12 to 6 elbows. That's great. It shouldn't have been. I think shouldn't have been a rule in the first place. Grounded opponents. That's a real interesting one. Like my game's definitely developed over the years, and like my last 4 fights, I've won all by TKO. So when I say grappler, like when I consider myself a grappler, it's a grappler to do damage. So I take people down, try to finish the fight on the ground. 12-6 just gives me another, my imagination's going wild with that, like the positions you can get, the things you can do, and then the knees, right? Like the knees to the head, like it's only if your hands are touching.
You need, the new rules are basically you need something else besides your hand. So it'd be like your hand and your hip or your elbow.
Man.
You can't play that game anymore.
Yeah, that's incredible. I find myself in that position all the time. People playing that game, like touching just the fingertips on the ground, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I could kick you in the head right now. So yeah, that I'm really excited about that, especially that one. I find myself in that position a lot when I'm taking guys down. They just place a hand on the mat to avoid getting kicked or kneed. So yeah, like I'm all for it.
Then last one, can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
What a main event! It's incredible. I don't know how the fight's going to go. It's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, it's a huge main event. I think Adesanya is going to take it and upset a lot of people, and it's going to be epic.
Stewie, just to your left, mate. Back here.
Yep. Hey Josh, how you
going?
doing?
Good, mate. Obviously, a UFC event. You got a whole lot of new media here and new fans that may not be familiar with you. I guess. What are some things you'd want the new members of the public and the media to know about you as a person and you as a fighter as well?
Great question, Josh. I don't know. What do you want to know about me? I don't know. I've been in the sport for a while. I've been training for 15 years. Family man. I got 3 kids. Was working full-time job as electrician. Born in the Solomon Islands. That's a interesting topic for a lot of people, I guess. Like first Solomon Island fighter to be on the UFC. I just got told that just in the back room by one of the guys first Solomon-born fighter in the UFC. So that's pretty cool. What else about me? I look to hurt people. I don't know. I just look to finish fights. That's something. I've got 7 out of 8 finishes, and I'm always looking to finish fights and put on a show.
And on the Solomon Islands, for those that might not know the story, I guess if you were quick to share a quick little glimpse of what that was like, and I guess the story you got coming over here.
Yeah, like it was. I have really good memories about the place. I was 6 when we moved to Australia. There was not very good times, like some ethnic tensions and craziness happening over there. So we moved to Australia. But I've got nothing but like amazing memories of the place. I went back when I was 9, when things settled down a little bit, and then things popped off again, and burning towns, and it was a pretty crazy time. So then we moved back to Australia pretty much for good after that. But I spent about 9 years of my early life in the Solomon Islands. And I've got as a child, just amazing memories of the place. I really love the place. And I've gone back for holidays and stuff. And I've said it to an interview before, like I definitely see myself retiring there one day. And like, I don't know, I love the lifestyle there, just fishing and, laying in a hammock. I'm definitely island boy at heart. I just love that, being outdoors and doing a bit of spearfishing. Not very good at it, but I have a crack. And Solomon Islands has a big place in my heart. But I've lived most of my life in Australia, and I definitely represent Australia first and foremost as where I'm Australian. Solomon Islands has a big place in my heart.
And last one from me. Obviously, Beatdown Promotions is the promotion you fought on predominantly before getting signed. Obviously, for those that don't know, Junior Tafa fought on Beatdown Promotions, but you become the first fighter that's had multiple fights for Beatdown Promotions, run by former UFC athlete Damian Brown. So I guess what does that mean to you to push them along and to help them rise in Australian MMA?
Yeah, it means a lot to me. Like, Beatdown Promotions is an incredible show. I went and watched the first show, and I was like, oh man, the production is just incredible. And I knew I wanted to fight on there, and then I had my first fight on there, and it was perfect. Like, it was all run on schedule. Damien's ex-UFC fighter. He knows what the big show's like. He knows that you guys run a tight ship, and it's just incredible. And he's trying to emulate that on obviously a smaller scale, smaller budget. But he's done an incredible job with that show, and I just keep coming back because epic show, great fights, great.
Stewart, just over here to your right.
Hey.
You're a man who has been signed to the UFC directly. A teammate of yours went through Contender, but you got directly in. What does that mean for you, and does that add any pressure getting straight in?
Oh yeah, like I said, man, it's just a dream come true. This is this is unreal. But does it add any pressure? It would have been nice maybe to like have a little step up, something like a little stepping stone in between. Like, this is crazy. I heard on fight nights you don't do this, this sort of thing. But this is this is a lot for me. But no, it's but yeah, this is where I want to be. You know, this is ultimately where I want to be. So I'm gonna embrace it. Like it's not too much. Like, it's fine. Like, it's it's been a great week, and but there's no extra pressure. I'm just at the end of the day, it's a fight. You know, we're gonna go out there and fight. It's the same anyway. You know, like you just got to dial in when you get in there and touch gloves, and it's just another man in front of you. Just
Why do you think you got signed directly in and didn't go through the Contender?
Right time, right place. I mean, it's hard. Like, there were a few people vying for the spot. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not the the guy that makes those decisions. But yeah, like, I'm just grateful to be here. But yeah, I don't make those decisions. So I have no idea. But I'm stoked, and I can't wait to put on a performance.
During your time on the regionals, there was a bit of a triangle at your weight class with you, Sean Gauci, and Anthony Drilich. Those two other men are signed to Dana White's Contender Series, with the rumor being they're going to fight each other.
I think that's confirmed, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I think Sean wins that one. I've done some training with Sean. But yeah, I think it's an awesome fight. You know, anything can happen. But yeah, I think Sean wins that fight. I think it's a great fight. I think Sean's got more tools to win that fight.
As I mentioned before, you were a teammate of Tom Nolan. What has the feeling been like in the training room, where you're both gearing up to both the biggest fights of your lives?
Yeah, the atmosphere is pretty awesome at the gym. Like, there's a few guys, not just Tom and I, but there's a few guys fighting and stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's the UFC or I mean it does, but a fight's a fight. Like, you're gonna give it everything, right? You're gonna give it 100%, whether you're fighting on the local scene or fighting in the UFC. Like, at least that's what I've always done. I've always just given every fight camp my 100% effort. And a lot of the guys are fighting. Everyone's full steam ahead, like getting after it. And it's been a great camp.
Last one from me. You mentioned about how this is all a bit hectic.
Yes.
To immediately be dropped into this. Tom Nolan is a man who has had a few more UFC fights than yourself. Did he give you any advice with dealing with kind of the new level that the UFC brings?
Yeah, like I ask him questions and stuff, but you don't I still take me by surprise coming up the stairs. It's still you can tell me what it's going to be like to walk out to 6,000 people in RSC Arena, but to do it is something else. I'm excited. I'm excited to feel the same feelings that I have now, like just excitement and it's you can't prepare for it. You just got to come out here and do your best.
Thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
And Stewie, with your newfound fame, you've obviously got a lot of people online and comments. You've been posting it recently about just complete randoms with their thoughts on your abilities. How has that been to adjust to? It's good. Like I think there's a lot of comedy out there, like a lot of positive messages. I've been seeing some weird memes and stuff and stuff out there. I think it's been awesome. Tom, said probably advice he gave me is probably stay off that stuff, but I've been enjoying it. I've been soaking it up and reading the comments and liking and replying here and there where I can. It's a busy week, but try to get back to people and soak it all in and have a good time with it. And finally, this is your first event. Of course, you're going to look back on this one day, and in 5 years when you watch this back, where will you be?
At the top. 5 years. That's I plan on being at the top before then. And then 5-6 years time, when I'm 30, I'm 29. I'm not super young. When I'm 34, 35, I'd probably be looking, at closing the chapter. So I'm going full steam ahead, trying to get as far as I can, as soon as I can, and stay busy. But the flyweight division, I think, has a shorter life. I think I mean, the 35 curse, for under lightweights, I believe that's real, because we rely so much on speed. So 5, 6 years time, I'll hopefully be retiring undefeated.
Do you think you'll get a title shot quicker than Steve Erceg?
Oh man, that's got to be like close to a record. No, I don't think so. But what is it? 1 year was he? Was it less than a year? Like that's, that'll be hard to beat. That'll be really hard to beat. Let's just take this one fight at a time. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, Steve, over here, other side. Obviously, the last time we saw you preparing for your first UFC title shot, I guess, how has life been since then? You don't have to do as much media for this fight week, I'm sure, even though you are the co-main event. But I guess, how's life been and what lessons have you taken away? Not just from the fight, but just that whole build-up and experience towards that.
Honestly, life has been exactly the same. Again, I don't know, I learned a lot of lessons. I got a lot of confidence from the performance. I know it didn't go my way, but I know that I can hang at that level. I know I can go 5 rounds and push the pace. So there's a lot of good things that came out of the fight, even though I didn't get the result I wanted.
And it didn't seem like you took a whole lot of damage in that fight. So I guess how soon after the fight did you hop back into training? Because you see some of these guys, they lose their title fight. It's not a one-sided loss. They get that itch almost immediately.
Yeah, so it was probably a good thing that we had a holiday around Argentina and that sort of thing planned, so I had to take time off, but as soon as I was back, so I think it was 2 weeks I was over there, and as soon as I was back in the gym getting ready for whatever the future held at the time.
And of course, once they announced this card, it seems like you were the name everyone assumed would be on this card. So did the UFC tell you, even how far ahead of time did they tell you, we're coming to Perth and you're going to be on this card regardless?
Well, I knew they were coming to Perth, and I don't remember how long before the fight they gave me Kai's name, but I wanted to be on it. They obviously were happy to have me on it, have a Perth boy represent on the card. So as long as I wasn't injured, I was taking the fight, whoever they gave me. So I think, they just threw a name and they knew I was going to say yes.
And what do you make of Kai as an opponent? He's a guy from this part of the world that's kind of the veteran of this division. So I'm sure you watched him before you got to the UFC. And so what are you expecting from him on Sunday morning?
Yeah, he's a very good fighter. He's super explosive, very good takedown defense, and he hits really hard. So I definitely have to mind my P's and Q's, but I just think I'm better at the end of the day, and we're going to find out on Sunday morning.
Have you, the approach to this as compared to Pantoja, because like you said, Kai has, he hits hard and not everyone has knockout power in this division. Have you had to approach Kai differently than you did for a Pantoja in a 5-round fight?
Not really. I mean, they both throw wide shots more so than anything else. It's just I'm not preparing for a guy who wants to take me down constantly. So I guess more of my camp is focused on the striking element. I'm not delusional. There is a chance, especially if it's not going well for him, that he will try to take me down. So I still need to keep that up and keep improving at it. But a lot of it's focused on the stand-up.
Were you hoping this would be a 5-round co-main event? Because it's like, lately we've seen these, there's a title fight and then maybe a co-main event would be 5 rounds.
Yeah, so after going 5 rounds, I definitely want to go 5 again. I think 5 suits me. I think the fact that I was finishing over the top of Pantoja means that I can finish over the top of a lot of people, and I just think 5 suits me.
Are you surprised that you're returning before Pantoja in that fight?
No, not at all. He first of all said that he needed to take some time off, and I like being active. I like fighting, so yeah, not surprised at all.
Can I get your thoughts on what happened to Muhammad Mokaev? He was a big name in this division, and now he's no longer part of the promotion.
I don't want to kick a man when he's down as much as possible, but yeah, he made some decisions. He obviously wasn't. People didn't make a fan of people, I guess, as not the fans and obviously the people in the company. So I feel bad for what happened to him, but I guess he did it to himself.
Then 2 quick ones unrelated to your fight, but I'm sure you saw in November they're going to implement those new rules that allow 12 to 6 elbows and redefine grounded opponents. I'm curious, do you like those rules, and do you think it's been a long time coming?
I don't know if I like the rules or not. I kind of do, kind of don't. I want to see how they translate. I'm excited to throw a 12 to 6 elbow at somebody, like climb the tree and throw one, but I don't want to get hit by one so much. So we'll see how it works out.
And can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
Yeah, I think Izzy's really good, as everybody knows. I think he's going to hit him. He's going to be able to find a way to put his hands on him to start with, and then I think Dricus is going to keep pushing and then eventually walk onto a really devastating shot. Thank you.
Steve, right here. You and I talked yesterday. You said you kind of have a bucket list. You want to get a fight with a Mexican fighter because you love the culture and everything kind of about that. So where did that start for you? Like, how did you come about, being into the Mexican fight culture?
So, I mean, there's been so many, like Julio Cesar Chavez, Canelo Alvarez, far out, I'm going to butcher his name, the guy that fought Manny Pacquiao, Marquez, yeah. There's been so many great Mexican boxers, and again, they're fighters, and at the end of the day, that's what I like watching. I respect and I love watching technicians as well, but I want to see somebody who's a technician that goes out and wants to brawl with people too. Like that's my favorite thing to watch.
And then how do you think the fight's gonna go between Brandon Royval and Tatsuro Taira?
I think Tatsuro Taira has a really good chance of winning this fight. I don't think Royval's takedown defense and overall jiu-jitsu will be able to stop Taira. I don't necessarily think he'll finish him, but I just think he'll be able to take him down and control where the fight gets played out.
What do you think the best meme you've gotten so far has been? Because I think there was one, it was a 305 and it was like a cast of The Office with all the fighters on it. What do you think the best one you've gotten is?
I do honestly really like the one of Al Pacino sitting in front with the Botafogo out the back, and I think that's a pretty funny one. I like that one.
Steve, you go back to last year, UFC 284. You're actually fighting at Eternal MMA the night before, knowing that you probably should have been on that UFC card. Fast forward to now, you're fighting in the co-main event in front of the Perth home crowd. Is something that you always wanted. How's that build-up been for you?
Yeah, it's sort of weird how quickly you get used to you're fighting away. Like this whole week sort of felt kind of foreign. I'm in my own house. I'm doing all the things I normally do when I'm training, but I'm fighting this week, so it's kind of odd that was normal just over a year ago and now it's foreign. But yeah, I'm very excited. Got all my family, friends and people that have supported me coming along to the fight, and I can't wait to put on a great performance for them.
as MMA fans, we always knew who you were, and we always knew that you were destined to be where you are now. But how has your life changed? Obviously, being in the limelight, we saw you with the local AFL team with West Coast Eagles getting presented a jumper. I mean, how you're still the same person, but how's everything else changed for you in the short amount of time?
Yeah, so mostly things haven't changed, but yeah, every now and then I get to do something really cool like that. I get to meet the Eagles, I got to meet the Wallabies the other day. I get to have these experiences that not everybody gets to have and kids dream about. But every other time of the day is the same boring life I had before. I go to training in the morning, I'm there basically all day, and then I go home and go to bed. So, yeah.
And we had Della, Maddalena last year. Obviously, first Perth fighter. You're obviously the second, but again, you've got the co-main event, obviously a top billing. So it's that must be obviously huge, exciting for you. But the amount of fighters from Perth coming out and doing well, and obviously we got 3 guys from Perth fighting on the Dana White Contender Series coming up. I mean, it's huge for MMA in Perth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, for a long time, growing up myself, I got told I need to go to the US. If I want to be any good, I got to go to this place and that place, and you can't do it from here. It's not big enough. So the fact that, yeah, you've had Della, you've had me doing what we're doing, and now you have the younger guys, Dricus, Cody, Quillen coming up from Perth as well. It just shows anybody that doesn't matter where you're from, you can make it happen if you really want it to happen.
And speaking of history, again, aside from probably staying in combat sports, we've got another young Perth fighter, Alex Winwood, fighting for a world title in only his 5th professional fight on September 7. I saw you caught up with him during the week at the Welcome to Country. What do you think of Alex Winwood, and a message for him as he tries to break Jeff Fennick's record of becoming the fastest Australian to win a world title?
Yeah, obviously he's a great talent. I've been at I think I've only been at one of his fights live once, and he's very technically good, which you have to be if you want to be fighting for a world title, right? So yeah, he's a very good fighter, and I think he can do it. I think he's a great fighter, and I wish him the best of luck.
All the best to you as well, Steve, Astro Boy.
Steve, just down here. A big thing that you've spoken about in the past is opponents' toughness and being a tough individual. Where do you rate Kai Kara-France's toughness?
Yeah, he's very tough. I'm trying to remember the fight he fought. Doesn't matter who he fought. Anyway, but he's he was getting choked and he couldn't get the guy off his back, but even though he's deep in the choke, he was fighting the whole time. He didn't give up. He's a tough guy. I'm just hoping he's not as tough as I am.
Your last fight before you joined the UFC was here in the hometown, but now obviously a much bigger stage. Is family coming out to see you?
Yep.
How is that for you? You're fighting, I suppose technically not the biggest fight of the career, but still a very big fight at home. How is that to have the family around?
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. I've been very lucky though in the fact that my family have travelled to Brazil and Vegas or New York, all that sort of stuff. They've always sort of been around, so I'm very blessed that way, and I get that same thing, just they don't have to travel now.
I feel like Perth really embraces its sporting heroes and legends. I was at the Perth Museum the other day. There's a lot of Perth sports memorabilia. Do you think we could get something of you in there?
I think I need to do a lot more in the sport before that's even a twinkle in my eye. So that would be awesome, but I've got a lot more to do.
Thank you.
Steve, one more in the front right here. Just purely out of curiosity, because I assume I'm the only Mexican here.
Yep.
There's debate between Canelo and Chavez Sr. as the best Mexican boxer. I'm curious where you stand on that.
Chavez Sr. for sure. Yeah.
Steve over here, mate.
Canelo is amazing though. I'm not taking it away, but Chavez was
What do you
amazing.
make? People are saying he's ducking opponents now, because he doesn't want to fight Crawford, doesn't want to fight Benavidez.
I doubt that's true. He's gone up and fought way above his own weight against the toughest guys in the world. So I can't imagine he's ducking anybody. But they said the same thing about Floyd. He fought all the best guys for a long time, and then near the end of the career, he didn't necessarily fight the people they all wanted him to fight. But to say that he's ducking people, I think is also crazy.
Steve, you spoke yesterday about you think you're probably 2 wins away from being back in that title contention. Have you outlined a path back there yet after what was a disappointing earlier fight this year, I suppose? The result was disappointing.
I have like a rough guide. Obviously, Kai's first on the list, and then Amir Albazi and I don't know, Moreno, Royval, somebody like that. I think would be the guys.
And it's a bit of a race between you and Jack to be the first champion at this stage. Is the goal? You're the co-main event. Is the goal to be the headline act and defending a title in Perth?
Yeah, of course. Whether it's being the main event or not, my goal is to be on Perth as a title holder. I got an opportunity to obviously fight for a title, and if I had won that and came here, I would have been the co-main event still. Just I would have had a title, and that would have been very exciting.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. That's it. We're wrapping up.
Thank you, guys.
Who's got the first question?
Josh over here.
So who's got the first question?
Well, Josh, how long are you guys playing on that one?
Literally, he just said to go, let me go out first. I bet they'll mistake you. Literally just said just then we were waiting over there. He goes, let me go first. So, yeah, thought it would work. So, I mean, it worked. It got you, didn't it?
It did get me for a minute because I looked, I'm like, something's different, but I don't know enough. But I should just let him stay up there. It would have been fun. Well, obviously the last time you fought here in Perth, you got that massive pop. There was a lot of like emotion at weigh-ins and face-off and everything. And until the main event, you probably had the biggest pop of the night. So you're expecting that again on Sunday morning?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking to put on a performance that's going to have the same type of pop. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm just ready to go. Super excited. Good memories here. And I look to do and repeat the same.
You said on your social media that you promise this won't go to the scorecard. So what about this matchup? Is it the matchup specifically, or is it how you're feeling from fight camp, just how confident you are?
No, it's the matchup. It's you need a good dance partner, and Ramos is a fantastic dance partner. I think us both stylistically, we're gonna put on a great fight, and I just don't see it going to the decision. Yeah. I think me and him are just super exciting fighters, and we're both looking to finish.
You had to practice defending those spinning back elbows that he likes to throw a whole bunch?
Yeah. All my training partners had real fun putting on the elbow pads and practicing all those spinning attacks. So, yeah, I'm very well equipped now.
Have you run into him in the hotel room at all? Because, we saw him at that Welcome to the Country ceremony, and he was actually getting involved with all the local fighters. So, what do you just make of him outside of the octagon?
Oh, man, I think he's a very respectful guy. I did run into him in the lobby, and he came straight up to me, shook my hand, and just said, yep, nice to see you, sort of just a nice, very nice, respectful guy. So, yeah, there's no malice like the last big fight, so this one's nice. Yeah.
Well, I remember that seemed to catch you off guard a little bit, just how aggressive he came. So is this a nice change of pace, not having all of this just strange animosity from your opponent?
Yes, and look, we're gonna go in there, we're gonna punch and hurt each other, but yeah, it's nice to not have to think about if we see each other in the lobby, if we're gonna have to throw hands in the lobby, to not have to think about that.
And you've been in the UFC for a little more than 4 years now. So do you feel like a UFC veteran at this point, or do you still trying to feel like you're kind of getting your feet wet in there?
Yes and no. I feel like I'm still young in the sport, but yes, I've had some time now in the UFC, and I'm getting comfortable sitting in front of everyone, talking to you guys, dealing with everything, the media, the fight week, just the UFC in general. So yeah, I'm feeling good and feeling I've got the experience, but I still feel young in this sport. So.
And then 2 quick ones from me, unrelated to your fight. I think your last fight, your media day in Perth, you talked about how much you just consume MMA even when you're not fighting. So I'm curious, what do you make of these new rule changes that they're going to implement in November, where they'll allow 12 to 6 elbows and redefining the grounded opponent?
I love it. I love it. I mean, why did they implement that 12 to 6 elbow to begin with? Makes no sense. And also the grounded opponent thing, I think a lot of the grapplers have been using that to their advantage, being able to play that game where they can, put their hand on the floor and avoid being hit. So, yeah, I think it's all around good for the sport.
Well, I think the theory was back when they were making the rules, someone saw someone break a center block with their elbow, so they were like, no, it's too powerful.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, and can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
Yeah, that's a fantastic matchup. Super excited for that one too. Dricus, we all know, is a bit awkward on the feet, but it works for him. And he's strong. He's powerful. Like, I doubted him when he fought Whittaker. I thought that Whittaker was going to run right through him. But obviously not. He proved me wrong. And then I thought the same thing with Strickland. I thought Strickland was going to run right through him. And again, he made me a believer. But again, Izzy is Izzy. So I think Izzy's just on a whole nother level into the striking department. And I just think he's just cleaner, crisper. And I think he finds a massive finish if Dricus comes aggressive the way he usually does.
Josh, over here. Probably not a great question to ask you before you make weight, but any luck on the KFC sponsorship?
Unfortunately, no. So I've given up on the KFC sponsorship. I'm not looking to go on that route. If I did get that sponsorship, I probably wouldn't be making featherweight anymore. I'd probably be up in the welterweights, middleweights. So I'm glad that I didn't get that sponsorship. But any beer companies that are looking to sponsor me, I'm happy to be a beer sponsor, to be an advocate for beers. So any beer sponsors.
And of course, when you came out, there was that little switcheroo there. How is it to be in fight week with the family?
It's the best. It's honestly the best to be able to share this sort of experience with my family, with my partner, with my baby. She's at the back over there. There you go. Just to have all of this is I just realize I'm living in the good times now. I don't want to be like, when I'm a bit older and look back, oh, those were the good times, and not really take it all in. Where now I'm just like taking it all in and having the most fun with it and just getting the most experience out of it and enjoying it. So why not? Why not enjoy it as much as I can? Because I feel like when this time's gone, this time's gone. My fighting career's done. I'm not going to be able to fight in front of everyone and be in front of you guys and in front of the fans and be fighting for the UFC anymore. Like, I might as well make the most of it, have my family here, have my brother here, my partner, my coaches. It's the best.
Fighting is obviously a very tough job. How does becoming a father change how you are as a fighter?
Look, it's definitely challenging. Very hard on the sleep and the recovery, but it's the best thing it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's hard, but it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's really opened my eyes. In terms of, man, time is just flying by. Like, you don't realize it, and then like in a blink of an eye, my little one has reminded me that 11 months has gone past so quick. So it's the best. And in relation to fighting, it's it's the same thing. It's just, I just gotta take it in for all of what it is now. Enjoy it all. So.
The last time you fought in Perth, you walked out to Murder on the Dance Floor, and then following that song kind of got a bit of a resurgence, kind of became a meme. What's the next trend that you're going to introduce to the world?
That's a secret. No one knows yet. No one knows. Not even my corner knows. They don't know what they're walking out to. So this one's kept down low. Not even my partner knows. So everyone doesn't know, besides probably the girl that's picking the walkout song for me, but no one else knows.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Josh, I just got one. There was, I don't know if you heard about this or not, I just wanted to get your thoughts on it, but there was an urban legend kind of going around for a while that, this is going back to the swap at the beginning, that back in the day that Matt Hughes used to actually swap with his brother and weigh in. Like, I just wanted your thoughts on that.
If he could come up here, Joe, real quick. Just come up here real quick. You reckon he could make 145 right now? How much do you reckon he weighs right now? Yeah, he ain't doing no weight swap with me, if anything. But yeah, looks wise and the face wise, yeah. It could have worked. I could have let him just sit up here the whole time, and then all you guys been fooled the whole time. So appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hello, guys.
Hello. Yo. Mateusz over here. Obviously, long way to come to fight Dan Hooker here in Perth. So I guess, how's preparation been? How's fight week been? And what was that journey like all the way over here to Perth?
Everything going to according to plan. I am happy. I come to Australia last week. Acclimatization is great. Body is great. My weight is good. And this time I can't come to ATT doing preparation because the fight is much different zone than USA. But I spent a lot of time in Polish mountains. I did kickboxing Polish national team camp. I trained with the best guys in Poland in the feed. Thus I did really good job. And I am ready this fight.
Was that in preparation for Dan specifically, giving his long reach and his, he likes to strike. He's not made that a secret.
Yeah, of course. I have a lot of respect to Dan. He's high-level striker. He's long. He's rich, but he's skinny. Of course, he wanna rip my head off from his knee or uppercut or kick, whatever. But this is just striking, bro. This like the paper. Can be a simple fight to me because I need to be careful. Just this weapon. But if I take him down or something, then fight will be for me. I wanna challenge himself in the ground. Yeah, he's high-level striker, but this is not Q1. This is gonna mix martial art, and I wanna show fireworks.
Were you expecting maybe someone higher ranked because you had weighed in as a backup for a title fight, you beat a former champion RDA, and there's the top of the division, none of them really have fights right now. So were you hoping for maybe a higher ranked opponent than Dan?
Always I looking for higher opponent than me, but this time was difficult time in lightweight division because nobody was available to top 5. This is one thing. Another thing is I don't wanna wait too much to my next fight. My last fight was in March. Now we have August, so this is like 6 months. I wanna be active. I wanna get more experience to UFC cage. This is gonna be my number 10 fight in UFC. So this is still not too much. Hooker is huge name in UFC. He beat really good guys. I am glad that I get this opportunity. I am thankful UFC that give me these guys. If I wanna give good performance show in the Sunday morning, I know next fight will be really big.
Did you talk to Dustin at all in preparation for this? Because he obviously had that 5-round war with Dan a couple of years ago.
Always I talk with Dustin. He's a great person. He give me a lot of motivation, a lot of good vibes. He texted me message then last week. Of course, he fought with Dan Hooker 2 years ago, right? But this matchup was like striker versus striker, much different than my fight will be against Hooker. Yeah, but of course I watched this fight like many times. I know what he can do, what he can work on. And I know why I come here to Australia. I know what I need to do in the fight. The simple sentence is like coming here to ruin the show. And I wanna show like full MMA.
And Dan was in here, and he said a win over you, he can get names like Chandler and the rematch with Dustin, a fight against Justin Gaethje, and maybe a fight with Charles because he could take your ranking. If you beat Dan, what are you expecting? Are you expecting a title shot? Are you expecting to serve as a backup? What do you see for yourself if you win?
Of course, he's happy because I am number 5 in ranking. He is 11th, so this is like gift for him. But this is also gift for me because he's tough opponent, he's good name, and the guy give me really big experience to UFC cage. And it depends what I show to the cage in Sunday morning. But if I finish him, next fight I would like fight in the inter-title fight. Sure. But we'll see what's happened in the Islam Makhachev. If he can fight this year, for sure I wanna fight with Arman again. I already beat him. His stylistic is great to me. I think the fight will be easier than first time. So first step and my 100 focus is the Dan Hooker, and then if I give really good performance, give me Arman.
Why do you think this time would be easier?
Because his style is great to me. He's lesser, he's short than me. We have story in the cage. I really like stylistic like this guy. Of course, he's number 1 in the ranking. He's really tough opponent, but you know sometimes you can fight the guys and the guys is problem to you. But sometimes you fight with tough guys and it's no problem fight. I think the next fight with against Arman can be a result that I can finish him.
And 2 more quick ones for me. I don't know if you saw, but they're changing the rules in November. They're going to allow 12 to 6 elbows, and they're going to change the grounded opponent rule. So do you like these changes, and do you think it's been a long time coming?
I think this will be better rules for grappler guys. And yeah, I think the change will be much better than is right now, yeah.
And last one, can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel? The main event Sunday.
But what?
Who do you think will win?
I think Dricus. I like the guy. We have good relationship. He is good everywhere. Like maybe this matchup is similar like my matchup against Hooker. So Adesanya is high level striker, but so wrestling is jiu-jitsu. I think not super. I don't know, but I can thinking about that. Like not this level like striking. So if Dricus take him down, then fight will be much easier than for him. And I think like the power is much different to Adesanya and Dricus. So my prediction is like Dricus will win this fight.
Just a quick one. Your fight was actually the last fight actually announced for UFC 305. There was other opponents speculated for Dan Hooker. When did they offer you the fight, and did it take you a while to actually accept it? Because it is a long way to come for you?
Again, please.
There was other opponents named for Dan Hooker before naming you as the opponent. Did they offer you it straight away? Was it a fight you had to think about taking?
So I'll
Someone
try,
help, thanks.
I'll try. So there were other names like Drakkar Klose
Uh-huh.
and Beneil Dariush that maybe Dan could have fought, or there were rumors of him fighting. So in your fight against Dan was the last fight announced
Uh-huh.
for this card. Was there any hesitation taking this fight against Dan because you had to come so far and it was so close to the date?
I don't know. I don't know what's happened. Just thank you, man, that you translate. I don't know what's happened. I get offered like, I don't know, 6-7 weeks before this fight. I agree like 1-2 minutes, and then we have fight. But I don't know what's happened before. Why Dakar Close or Benil or sometimes don't take this fight. Like I said before, I wanna be active. I wanna fight. I wanna get more experience. So I agree, and I am here. You know.
Over here. Fighting anyone from this region while you're here, you're going to be not the fan favorite. But on top of that, Dan Hooker is so well liked. What do you think the reaction of the crowd to you will be, and how do you feel about it?
I heard like I heard from Dan Hooker, like people and crowd from here is amazing. So I'm counting of this atmosphere in the show and the people. Of course, this is enemy territory to me, but bro, I am from Europe. Everywhere when I go, this is enemy territory. For example, maybe not Miami, because Miami is my second home, but in Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi, on somewhere, everywhere I am, and this is not my place. But nothing. This gives me extra motivation. You know, if everybody is against me, then I wanna show that you are wrong, guys, and I am coming here to beat everybody. Like I have my team from Poland, like 4 people. I have strong weapon Mike Brown from ATT, so we have really strong group, and we can. I think we can fight with everybody.
Thank you very much.
Right here. When Dan was in here earlier, he said the reason the UFC tried to set up this fight is because he thinks he can bring an exciting fight out of you, and he can make it exciting. Do you think that's a fair statement? I mean, for him to say that about you?
You know, I am sportsman. For me, the most important is winning to fight. Win is win. I understand. Like maybe my last fight was. People can like this my performance, some people maybe don't like. I understand the UFC politics. I need to like finish the guy, give really good show during the fight, then I will be step more than I am here, you know. So this is great stylistic to me fight with Dan Hooker, and yeah, happy that UFC give me him.
I feel like a lot of the things some of the fans maybe say about you, they were saying about Bilal Muhammad not too long ago in terms of the style, and look at him now, he's the champion. Does that give you inspiration that as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you will get there?
We have many things like that, like Khabib Nurmagomedov or Islam has the same way, you know, the guys need to beat many guys and then they get the title fight. This is what, because we are wrestler guys, you know. I love wrestling. I have wrestling and jiu-jitsu in my DNA, and I wanna show always this style in the cage. And yes, but in my imagination before fight against Dos Anjos was much different than I show, but I get surprised in the first round and I need to change my game plan. But this time the fight looks easy because I need to be careful the knee, the straight punch and kick. If I passed this technique, then the fight will be for me, and I can destroy him in the ground or maybe in the feet if I use a really good weapon.
All good? Thanks, guys.
Good. Thank you so much.
How is everyone today?
Great.
Full send in the building. What's up, homie? Check.
Well, Junior, over here. Obviously, the last time we saw you, you were kind of making history, stepping in on incredibly short notice. So I guess how's life changed since then? It seems like you gained a lot of respect from, both your fellow fighters and just the fans around the world.
Yeah, life's good, man. I've had 2 kids last year, so just been on the daddy duties at home. So yeah, life's good, man.
How's it been juggling being, daddy duties and preparing for a heavyweight fight?
Oh yeah, it's pretty hard, man. But it'll be very rewarding after this fight, so be good.
And obviously, how good does it feel to get fight here in Perth? The last time the UFC was here, it was a pretty electric crowd. So how happy are you to be here on this side of the world?
Well, the last time I was here, my brother got a first-round knockout, so I'm gonna try one up him on this one. So
how do you one up a first-round knockout?
Get the bonus with it.
And obviously, you're fighting another brother, Johnny Walker's brother, Walter Walker. So are you a type of fighter that watches tape? Do you care what he does in there? How was preparation for him?
Yeah, preparation is good. Watched a little bit of tape, but yeah, I would like to fight both of the Walker brothers if I could. I want to campaign down to light heavyweight, and his brother I would like to come after too. So,
anything specific about Johnny, or just you like that fight for you?
Oh man, I'm a fan of their fighting style. They're cool cats, but be cool to do both of them, eh?
And then just 2 quick ones for me, unrelated to this fight. I don't know if you heard, but the UFC, or MMA, there's going to be new rules implemented on November 1st. The 12 to 6 elbows will be allowed, and they've redefined the grounded opponent rules. So I'm curious, did you hear about these, and what do you make of them, and do you think it's been a long time coming?
Yeah, it's good. I think it favors us strikers, so I'm happy for that.
Can I get your thoughts on the main event between Dricus and Israel?
Oh, Izzy all day, man. Izzy should get him done in 1. Let's go.
What's going on, bro?
Yo, what's up, my G?
How tired were you when you kept getting tagged in that meme of Mario Batista when he was jumping? You said, "Stop tagging me in this," after you were getting leg kicked in the last fight.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Everyone even some of the boys, even some of my boys sent it to me. So said I should have done that, So.
Can you explain the significance of the mustache and the mullet combo down here, because it's starting to creep into North America, and I feel like the wrong type of people are using it down there. So can you explain the significance here?
Nah, it's the look. We're bringing it back, baby.
That's all I got.
Hey, Junior, just over here.
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you? Obviously, the fight with Della didn't go your way, but it was taken on, extremely short notice. So, is that one you would like to get back eventually with a full camp?
Not really. That's my brother's. That was my brother's fight. That's someone he wants to take on. So, if the opportunity's there, man, fuck, I'd love to fight him on a full camp. Yeah.
And one other thing, you obviously made your professional debut for Beatdown Promotions in Brisbane. And on this card, Stewart Nicoll is making his debut. He obviously fought for Beatdown Promotions a fair bit as well. What does that mean to you to see another organisation like Beatdown come through and have guys come to the UFC? And I suppose it's a good thing for Australian MMA overall.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely good. It's good for Australian MMA. Shines light on the talent we got down there in Brisbane. So, yeah, man. Shout out to Damian Brown and the Beatdown crew.
Junior, to your right. Obviously fighting a little bit away from home, but still in Australia. Just want to know your preference on fighting, closer to home or fighting abroad, and completely focusing in on the fight and getting rid of all distractions, or would you prefer to have your family around and a bit more of that comfortability factor?
Oh man, my family follow me everywhere I go for the fights. So I got all my brothers and boys in the back there. So yeah, doesn't matter, man. Just a chance to show off in front of them,
And a bit unrelated note, but obviously you got yourself and your brother, you're fighting Johnny Walker's brother. There's plenty of brothers floating around in the UFC. Do you think there's ever scope for like a tag team division with the brothers going at it?
Fuck, we're the baddest brothers in the fucking whole company, man. We'll take anyone on.
Fatal four-way maybe? WWE
Fuck,
style?
elimination chamber, whatever it is, man. We go all the way.
Thank you.
Going off of that, I saw a video of I can't. It was either you or your brother, and you said, if any two people from this part of the world walk into a room with us, we're the ones walking out. So why is it you two are the toughest brothers in the UFC right now?
Oh man, fuck, we're the baddest brothers on the. Surely there's some footage out there in Tiger Muay Thai on the sparring mats, or fuck, we got some footage. Check out our OnlyFans.
Actually, I got a couple more. Did you ever see Dana White's reaction of the last fight? When he was asked about you guys swapping out. It was a pretty simple answer. He said 1 out, 1 in. Simple as that. Did you ever see that video?
Nah, man, but I remember going on stage and the crowd reaction to Anaheim going crazy, and Dana White saying, "Man, goosebumps." I was thinking, cheers, bro. Send us some money.
And then, is Rubelas to Spain a guy you still want to fight? I saw you had talked about him a little bit. You know, you said bring him down to Australia. Yeah. He kind of lost a little bit of hype after his last fight, but is that a guy you still want to fight one day?
Yeah, I would like to fight anyone, man. Especially that dude, you know, take his gold. Is it a gold medalist, that guy?
Not 100% sure.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. If he won a medal, it would be my medal if I beat him, so.
Junior, just over here. You mentioned about the last time the UFC was in town, your brother was on the card and you weren't. I remember you at the open workouts getting a reaction from the crowd. How is it to now be in the opposite situation where you're fighting and your brother's in your corner?
Man, a bit nerve-wracking, you know, but I don't know, I've been here many times, man. It's just another fight for me.
Something about both of you is this, the Tafa gang. You know, it's something you guys both talk about a lot, that whole kind of us against the world. And while I understand and appreciate that attitude, you guys are also like beloved, and people really do get around both of you. What is that like when you've got this attitude of like, it's us against everyone, but everyone is kind of on your side?
Yeah, well, I feel like everyone can relate to us, you know. We come from very humble beginnings, you know, so I feel like a lot of people love what we do, man. We made it to the top level, just fucks me, I don't know how, but we're here fighting in front of all these guys against the elite level guys, and we're just, I don't know. Me and my brother's just chilling.
Thank you.
Rubelas got a bronze medal in the Olympics.
You got a bronze medal? Yeah. Fuck, I guess I'll be an Olympic medalist then if I get that fight. Tougher gang, baby. Let's go!
Dricus. Hello, everyone. Hello. You know, a lot of the talk about this fight's been, it's personal this, it's personal that, but when we've seen you and Izzy at the press conference before, it was kind of well-mannered, and I think even on this fight week, it's not like we've heard, like, terrible insults thrown at each other. As you get close to the fight, how are you feeling, personally, about the contest?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know it's definitely personal for him because he took a lot of offense in what I said for speaking the truth, and he didn't like it. So it was never personal because there's nothing to be personal about. For me, I stated facts. I said what I said. It's 100% the fact. And he took it very personal. So yeah, he's angry. I don't care. And I mean, that's it. At the end of the day, I'm here. I'm here for my business. My business is winning, not defending about winning this fight.
When you look at this fight, ignore all the other stuff outside of it, do you think this is almost a contest between two puzzles, right? He was considered this big puzzle that was hard to figure out with his feints and his movement, and now you've come in here and it seems like a lot of people can't even figure out what you're doing to be successful, but you are being successful. Do you see this as a clash between two men who can confuse most of the division, and it's up to the other guy to figure them out?
Yeah, I think especially at this level of the sport, that is what you get. I think that is at this level, when you're fighting at the top, champion and contender, you get everybody's fit, strong, good enough striking, good enough wrestling, good enough under grappling. Everybody has aspects. Some a little better, let's say better in grappling, some are better in striking, but everybody's good everywhere. It's about who shows up on the night with the plan, and if that plan is changing, who can, like you say, figure it out. So you can look at it as two puzzles, or you can look at it as two great fighters, and we're going to find out who came with the best armor.
You're obviously going to prepare for the toughest guy you could possibly face, right? But there are questions about Israel after that performance against Sean. In your gut instinct and in your heart of hearts, do you think that was an off night for him, or do you think that was potentially the beginning of a new Israel that we're going to start seeing?
I'll be honest, I've said it many times in previous interviews where I said I think it was an off night. It was very evident in terms of how he fought, just the whole fight, you could see it. But then I fought Strickland, and my whole perception around that fight changed, because now I firsthand experienced what it's like to fight Sean Strickland. He's hard to hit, and with Izzy, he doesn't throw volume. He throws strikes that, he's pinpoint accurate with his strikes, or at least he tries to be. He's more of a move, hit. And when he fought Strickland, he missed all those shots. Strickland is really, really good defensively. And that was, when I fought Strickland, I immediately realized that's what happened. I threw volume so I could catch him and I could beat him. But Israel doesn't throw the volume, so every time he threw, he missed the shot. He missed the shots. He had 2, 3 maximum, and he would miss. So originally I thought that Israel had an off night, and then after fighting Strickland and going to watch that fight again, I actually think it was just Strickland that did what he does extremely well, and that style didn't suit Israel at all.
It sounds like, according to Dana White, Strickland's going to be next for whoever comes out this weekend. Is that a fight that interests you, or are you one of these guys who are like we hear Islam Makhachev, right? Like, I don't want rematches, I want fresh puzzles all the time. Are you okay with Sean Strickland, or do you think, hey, that Whittaker-Hamzat fight makes more sense to me? How are you feeling about a rematch with Strickland?
Well, the Whittaker-Hamzat fight, I honestly thought, and I actually said as well, I thought that was going to be it, but I honestly don't care. I'm here to beat whoever. The fight that people want to see. That's why this fight is so great for me, that we're fighting Israel Adesanya, because the most people in the fight world wants to see myself versus Israel Adesanya. That's the fight that people want to see, and that is at the end of the day what we do. We entertain. We entertain the people, we entertain the crowd, and we entertain the people that buys the tickets, buys the pay-per-views, because that's why they do it. They want to be entertained. So for me, I don't mind fighting either one of those two, Strickland, Hamzat, or Whittaker. But all three of those fighters have the pros and cons. Actually, fighting Strickland, a lot of people want to see it, but it's a rematch. But if that's the decision of the UFC, great, let's go for it. Fighting Hamzat, he's never been beaten. It's going to be a massive fight, just in terms of numbers. Great, let's do it. Fighting Whittaker, the all-time legend, Robert Whittaker, but it's a rematch. So there's pros and cons in fighting any of these three guys. For me, the most important part is fighting the best next guy.
Dricus, on the countdown, I think you used something. They were talking about your fight against Whittaker. You credited your coach for finding holes, and you said there just weren't that many holes in Robert Whittaker's games, and he found them. When you guys are breaking down Israel, are you guys finding holes that you can exploit, or is Israel kind of, just a kind of well-refined fighter in there?
No, listen, even with Robert Whittaker, when I said finding holes, we didn't find any holes. We just found a place where holes could be made. So that's what I was referring to, in that at this level, you don't see the holes, these clear holes in people's games. You just don't see it, because that's why we're at the top of the game. You do see places where they get uncomfortable. They don't necessarily make the mistakes, but there is place to force them to make mistakes. And that's what I feel we did with the Whittaker fight, and that's what we're going to do in this fight. We don't see mistakes and say, oh, that's where we're going to catch him. No, we see places where they get uncomfortable, and you force that mistake.
Well, kind of going off of that, it showed Israel's reaction when you switched to southpaw. Like, he stood up and he was like, oh, he's southpaw now, and he was kind of watching you a lot more. Do you have plans like that for, like, I'm sure you can't give us your game plan, but do you guys plan for Israel, or are you just kind of focusing on yourself in there?
No, the thing is with Israel, he fights switch stances either way anyway. So, like myself, I fight both ways. With the Whittaker fight, we just, he doesn't switch really. He doesn't switch, so that's why we did that. But I fight switch all the time, and Israel as well. So it's it doesn't make sense to say, okay, cool, I'm only going to fight this or that. No, it's definitely not. For very specifically for Whittaker, that was the game plan, and for this fight, we had to do something else. So like I said, I can fight both ways, but in a fight where a guy switches the whole time, it doesn't make sense to do something like that.
What's with the taser in fight camp?
Well, I mean, you don't just become world champion.
So that's been a thing that's been happening for a while, or that because some people thought it was like, oh, it's
everybody thought it was something that's new for this camp. Not at all. It's probably been part of the team for 2.5+ years, 100%. But no, we never filmed it. I don't know why. I can see now probably why. The rest of the world might seem crazy, but I mean, we used to be coach used to leg kick us, and he has a very strong leg kick. If you make the mistakes continuously after he's warned you a couple of times, but that takes you out of training, not out of training, but it makes training difficult for a couple of days because he has a very hard low kick. So the taser is much better than that, because the taser hurts a lot more in the moment, but it's over quickly.
So when he introduced that to camp, did he tell you that was happening, or did he just show up with a taser one day?
Well, I can't remember the exact moment it happened, but when he came to the gym, he's like, okay, I got this. I just went, okay, great. This is it now. And everybody thought, like, people were laughing like, no. And I said, guys, might as well stop it. I've known coach for 12 years. The idea's been set. We are getting tased from now on. Might as well get used to the idea. In fact, we've upgraded the taser now, because we grew used to the old one. And he almost figured out it doesn't have the effect. Sure. And he actually tased himself. He's like, okay, this sucks, but it's not that bad. Get me a stronger one. And that's why we have the big one now. It's a proper one.
So last thing on the taser, like, what is it? Just like when your hand's out of place, he'll just like zap you? Or is like, what
no,
is
no, no, it's not like that. He doesn't walk around just zapping people. He warns you. It's not just a quick tase. It's a let's call it the South African sticky note. He tells you, Dricus, your hand, it's not high enough. You're not covering your face. And even though I might feel my hands covering my face, it's just too low. Or he'll say your foot's not in the right spot. You need to do that. Your base is not right. You're too far leaning back. Whatever. Chin's in the air. Whatever it may be. And he'll warn you, and he'll warn you again. And on the third time, he's like, okay, I've warned you twice about this, on your stomach. And you just lie down, tase right under the foot. There you go.
Fair enough.
And he asks you, he goes, or he doesn't say anything, and he goes, stop. If you can tell me what you did wrong, I won't tase you. What did you do wrong? And I'll be like, my hands went up. He says, nope. And then he'll tase you, and he'll tell you what you did wrong. So I mean, it's a great reminder.
Sure. Fair enough. There was a report that came out that a couple rugby stars are going to walk you out. When did you find that out, and what does it mean to you to have them walk you out to your title fight?
Yeah, I mean, the Springboks, our national team, 4-time world champions, back-to-back world champions, are playing up the stadium Saturday. They are heroes. They are the mighty Springboks. And they are playing at Optus Stadium this weekend, Saturday. And the team is coming to watch my fight. on Sunday, the whole national team. I mean, that's my heroes and the whole country's heroes coming to watch me perform. It's a massive, massive privilege. And I immediately, when we started this, I mean, weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I said, is there any chance we can make this happen? We started getting after it, and thank you to the UFC for making this possible.
Historically, when you see a fighter from a nation become a champion, there's a massive explosion. We're seeing that with Ilya in Spain when Brandon Moreno won from Mexico. So how has MMA kind of exploded since you won the title in January?
Oh wow, it's incredible to see just MMA gyms all over the country exploding and getting better. Just seeing the quality of the local scene in the UFC, where I started my career, an amazing platform of producing local talent and international talent in Africa, and just seeing the quality of competition there, and seeing the quality of fighters that's being delivered, and also seeing not just in the local promotion, seeing fighters from South Africa that has all this talent but never been taken seriously by the rest of the world. I'm talking about your UAE Warriors, Brave, what's another league where they fight? I mean, Bellator, PFL, those kind of things, those kind of organizations. And now they start looking at Risen as well, start looking at the South African fighters going, well, they have a UFC world champion. There has to be something there. Now the fighters all over South Africa and Africa are getting much more attention from all these almost feeding ground MMA promotions. And that's amazing, because people get the opportunity to do this for a living full time, getting money where they can support a family and support that dream that they have to make it to the UFC and become a champion of the world, because it's been done. So to see that, I mean, we just had the first Olympic wrestler from South Africa in the Olympics, I think, I stand corrected, from 1948. It's the first time, and he fought for a bronze medal, and he didn't win it, but I mean, still, it's a massive achievement. So just seeing martial arts of any sort, just seeing the small wrestling school, karate school, boxing gyms, all of that just growing, because kids look at it and they want to do it, because now they can become a world champion. It's incredible to see, and the support's been amazing.
And last one for me, unrelated to your fight, but November 1st, they're going to introduce some new rule changes. They're going to allow 12 to 6 elbows, and they're going to change the definition of grounded opponents. I'm curious, did you hear about these rules, and do you think it has been a long time coming? Yeah, the 12 to 6 elbows doesn't really matter to me. I mean, throwing an elbow like this and throwing an elbow like this is exactly the same thing to me, so I don't really care about that one, but the grounded opponent one is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool rule. I think we're going to see some sick knockouts of that one.
Dricus, in terms of the role model you are in South Africa and for African MMA, what would it mean to you to take that belt back again, to defend your title, and the knock-on effect that it will have in terms of bringing the UFC finally to South Africa? I know Dana White has said, should you get past Israel, that will happen. How important is it to you, and are you feeling a little bit of extra pressure because you have the hopes of a nation on your shoulders?
Well, I'm getting past Israel, and 100% the fact that Dana said that, I know he said it before, that, you know, if South Africa wins a world title, we're going there, but, you know, it's hard. I know that for a fact. I know there's a lot of things that needs to fall into place. We have the Minister of Sports from South Africa coming to watch the fight, coming to make sure we have we do whatever needs to be done to get that fight, get the UFC in South Africa and in Africa for the first time. A massive goal I've had for many years, thinking I want to bring the UFC to Africa and South Africa. And that's amazing. I mean, if that is another massive goal in my life ticked, another one that I set, and I can say I went and I did that. But you know, for me, I'm not going out there to defend my title. I'm going out there, in my mind, when I get home, I'm going to fetch that belt. I said it before. You know, when I walk out to that octagon, the belt is vacant, and I'm fighting for that title. And the same guy that was willing to die to win that belt is willing to die once again and kill to get that belt.
So this is more than just about the belt, isn't it? It's about legacy and what you've done for MMA in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's been such a big part of what this has been about. my whole career is so much bigger than myself. Of course, the belt, because the belt resembles all of that. The belt resembles the fact that South Africa is being considered to host the first UFC, that Africa is being considered to host the first UFC. And, for myself, the work over all these years, this belt represents. So it's not all of those things. The belt is what, all of those things are under the belt. The belt is what represents all of those amazing things that are so much bigger than myself, representing my flag, my country on the biggest stage in the world.
Dricus, just over here, man, a couple of quick ones. I know you'd mentioned that you got a couple of rematches potentially in the works, but with this feud with Israel, do you believe this is the beginning of potentially a few fights? Obviously, Izzy fought Rob a few times. You might potentially fight Sean and Rob a second time. Do you think this is the first of a few fights and really actually maybe the beginning of a feud?
With Izzy?
With Izzy, yeah.
Probably not. No. I don't think so, to be honest.
Well, what makes you think that there's no more fights down the line, just the way that this fight goes?
No, I'm not saying definitely. I just saying no, I haven't thought about it.
Okay. The stare down you guys had in that first presser in Perth was pretty intense, and I saw you were doing an interview. You said that when you do your stare downs, you like to let the other person know with your energy that you're there and you're not taking a step back. So I guess following up from that at the press conference, what are you expecting at that stare down, and then potentially at the weigh-ins? Are you imagining it's going to keep progressing as you guys go on and on?
Yeah, I don't know about the weigh-ins, all of that. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking that will happen the way it happens in the moment, and I'll be reacting accordingly. But I think that stare down was a very, very good indication of what to expect when the fight comes. And yeah, I meant what I said with the energy, feeling that energy, and you can without physically touching somebody, you can make them feel your dominance in terms of who is the alpha. And that's exactly what happened in that stare down. And that's exactly what will happen on fight night.
Just last one from me. I saw Darren Till had some advice for Izzy for the fight. Your reaction to that, and did you get a chance to see what he was saying?
I mean, the man got taken down by a boxer. Maybe maybe try and practice what you preach, man. The man couldn't stop a single takedown. The man said he won 2 rounds. He didn't win 2 rounds. He's crazy. I finished him, outstruck him, took him down, finished him in the 3rd round. He says he won the 1st round. I outstruck him 61 strikes to 0. And there was 20 seconds left. That's crazy stats. Yeah, he got me in that 2nd round until I got a take. I don't even know why we started discussing this. I mean, the man's in a downward spiral, and hopefully this coaching gig works out for him. But what I saw in terms of how easy it would be to beat me, why didn't he do it? So easy to see. Why didn't he do it?
Dricus, just over here. If you win this fight, you'll have beaten 3 of the past 4 middleweight champions, the exception being Alex Pereira, who's obviously in a different weight class now. Where do you think this puts you in the hierarchy of all-time middleweights, even though you're just starting your reign here?
Yeah, I mean, if you put it like that, it puts me pretty high, but that's not how I see it. I have a lot of work to do to be considered the greatest, or even close to that conversation. So, for me, this is, like I said, the beginning, and that's how I'll treat it.
Dricus right here, bro. Over here.
Yeah.
What's up, bro? I know they say it kind of takes a team to get you to where you're elevated at. Correct me if I'm wrong. You got a guy on your team by the name of ATN who's survived a stroke, a ruptured spleen, and a gunshot to the head.
Yeah, that is correct. The man is my corner, one of my best friends. Etienne is a legend in South African rugby. Played professional rugby and all over the world. And exactly like you said, the man has had multiple strokes, got shot in the head, had crazy story. He has a book out, Euro in South Africa. And just to have people with that kind of mindset, and I actually trained with the man. Have trained with him for many years, and he moved to America now, but he's been there for every single fight, and it's going to be great to have him in the corner, just to have that. You think to win a fight is motivation. Look at that, man. Look at that. That's only motivating to have somebody like that around you that appreciates life for what it is, and that's been that close to death that many times. and just shows appreciation and love for everything around him. And it's amazing to have someone like that in your circle, because they have such a big perception of what life is really about, and you can learn so much from them.
Dricus, just over here. When I spoke to you back in June, you mentioned that the confidence level within your teammates since becoming champion has increased dramatically, and it's given them the hope that they can become champion too, like yourself. I guess, what has this camp been like? Going from a challenger to now the defending champion, and alongside your teammates.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you this. With my teammates now sparring, grappling, wrestling, striking against the champion of the world, it gave them the kind of thought. Firstly, it made me go, not only am I now I've always tried to outwork everybody, and I always feel, I'm working harder than everybody. And once I became champion, I made sure, and I said, I can't only think I'm working harder than everybody. I am the example of what it means to be a world champion to each and every person that sees me, that has this dream or any dream. The only thing I can do is lead by example, and I made sure that I outwork everybody twofold. And that's been the case since becoming champion for me. And everybody stepped up their game, because they're looking at me, and I know that. I know they're watching, because the blueprint's been there. The blueprint has been, it's been done. And they're trying to catch up, and I won't let them. And that's what makes a great team. And obviously, like I said, when they're striking, grappling, or sparring, whatever, they go, this is the world champ. If I can take him down, that means I'm taking down the world champ. Where do I rank in the UFC? The best in the world. If I can catch the champ with big combinations, where does that put me in the UFC? Fighting pure wrestlers coming in, pure grapplers, pure strikers coming into the gym we got for camp. All of them go, well, I know he's not a pure striker, but he's still the world champ. So if I can beat on him, that's a feather in my cap, and I won't let that happen. So immediately I had to level up, because everybody that went against me leveled up. And that was incredible. And I mean, as I get better, my team gets better, we all get better, and every fight we will be better, and I can't wait to prove that.
And just one more quick one. You've had some time now enough time to spend in Australia, I guess. What are your thoughts of Australia? I know you've spent some time with Jackson and Clayton, those sort of guys, making some funny skits. So I guess, what is your thoughts of Australia been so far? Yeah, myself and Jackson's been mates for quite some time. He was at my fight in Toronto as well. And then he said he's going to visit South Africa for maybe a week, maybe 10 days, and he stayed for 2 months. He lived with my friend Will. We basically saw each other every day then. He just loved South Africa, so coming to his backyard is great. I was here 5 weeks ago when we made that skit with for the presser, and he's here right now. He came to watch the fight. Obviously, we'll have a great time afterwards. But I'm loving Australia. I always talk about the culture in places. That's the biggest difference. Anywhere you travel, the things that I find funny in another country might not be as funny, and actually might even be offensive, and the other way around. But when I came to Australia, that was the one thing: the people, the culture, if you look at guys like Jackson and how we get along, and the humor that the Australian fans and people share with I think it's very, very similar, very, very similar to South Africa. And that's why there's such a big South African community that can climatize in Australia, and that's why so many of them have immigrated to Australia. So yeah, I've been loving it. I think up until this point, Australia has been probably one of my favorite places I've ever been to. It's my first time in Australia, but I've been loving it. The weather is great. The food is amazing. I can't wait to really enjoy the food. But yeah, it's been great. The quality of meat, which is a big, big thing for me, the quality of meat. And then, of course, the quality of beer, which I will find out exactly after the fight. Just one more. Are you going to go to the Springboks and Wallabies game on Saturday night?
I wish I could. It's just too late. I mean, I have to wake up very early. The fight's happening. Get my sleep, and of course focus on replenishing. We know with in Australia we only get 24 hours to rehydrate and recover after a weigh-in. So it's a big time difference. 12 hours less. It's a massive difference. So focus will be on that. But I'll be watching the game, cheering the boys like I always am. And I know they're going to do great. Yeah, I'll be in my room and watching that. And at that stage where I'm at, there's only one thing on my mind. That's that fight.
Dricus, over here to your right. Over here. When you were a challenger and you were coming up through the ranks, you were consistently winning, but it felt like you were never getting the respect. It felt like every fight was a little bit, the fans were like, oh, this one he'll lose, and then it kind of kept going. I know you don't fight for the internet, you don't fight for their respect, but a victory over Adesanya, who was such a long-reigning champion, do you think that stomps out any disrespect?
Don't really know, don't really care. You know, for me, what I care about is winning this fight. You know, this fight is not any bigger to me than any other fight. Every single fight I fight, whether it was my debut, whether it's now, when I step in there, it's the most important fight. And in my mind, the last fight I will ever fight in my life. I'm going out there to win or die trying. Every single fight. So who I fight and what the internet thinks about it, that's got nothing to do with me. What's this? This is all the proof that I need. I don't need some internet troll or some couch potato to tell me whether I'm good or not. This tells me how great I am.
Hey Dricus, you mentioned how you've been having a great time in Perth. You got here early. A lot of your training camp has been done at Kick-Ass MMA. Has Stephen Kennedy and the boys been treating you well there?
Yeah, they've been treating me extremely well. I mean, I've been here for 2 weeks. And yeah, the gym is an amazing facility. Everybody's been super, super helpful and nice. You know, me and my team came in early, 17 days before the fight. And yeah, we've been training there and preparing for the fight, preparing for the last 2 weeks. At Kick-Ass, it was yeah, the boys been great. I mean, the whole team they've been very accommodating, gave us everything we needed. Amazing facility.
We spoke this week as well because, as has already been touched on, a massive weekend for South African sport. It happens in Perth, Western Australia. It's going to be very tough for you on the Saturday night. You just obviously completed the weigh and you're relaxing for your fight, but you're going to be able to hear the crowd at Optus Stadium while your Springboks are playing. You're going to be tempted to sort of walk across to take a sneak peek into the game?
Absolutely. I have an amazing room with a balcony. I can tell you this much. I'm going to be watching the game. I'll turn the TV, do what I have to, but I'm going to sit outside on the balcony and watch the TV and hear the crowd cheering. It's going to feel like I'm right there.
You know, people, we can get your tickets, you know.
Oh, geez, stop it. Stop it. I'm going to have to say yes if you keep on.
All the best.
Dricus, just a really quick one here, man. I wanted to touch on your relationship with Eugene Berriman. Maybe not relationship, but obviously, like, we spoke with him yesterday and he spoke about how he was in that training room when, like, you guys were sparring and stuff like that. I think you guys might have done some rounds together. And obviously, you guys had, like,
No, me and Eugene didn't do it. My brother and Eugene did some rounds together.
Right, okay. He had a lot of nice things to say about you guys, which is quite contrasting. Obviously, there's you and Israel, but then you and the team seem to have, like, really good feelings towards each other. I just wanted to see if you could touch on sort of like your relationship with Eugene and sort of like seeing him just before in the hotel as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the world's respect for Eugene. He's, you know, Coach Eugene the man is obviously brilliant. You know, look at the pedigree of fighters he's coached. I have all the respect in the world, and myself and Israel's feud has nothing to do with my relationship with them, and that, I think that goes to show on what you call maturity and emotional intelligence. Just because I don't like Israel Adesanya doesn't mean I don't. When we're in a group of friends, I can like everybody, but sometimes there's one guy you just don't like. It's fine. Just ignore them. You know, it's okay. You know, I like Volk. He's one of my all-time favorite fighters. I actually went up to him and told him what a badass I think he is. I mean, this is a long time ago, maybe, you know, months ago when I met him at the PI. I trained with Volk 10 years ago. I trained before anyone on that team and myself was even close to the UFC. I trained with Volk, Dan Hangman, who is one of the most savage fighters in my opinion, one of the toughest, baddest dudes on the planet. And even Kai Kara, France, he was training there too. We've known each other for a long time. We had drinks back then. We were friends, and we always have been. So the fact that myself and Israel doesn't like each other doesn't change the fact that I have mad respect for their whole team and, well, those that I know, and I think they're great people. It's just the fact that we don't like each other doesn't mean anything about how I feel about any of the others.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Can I just say, Israel, stop searching for my Willie on the internet. It's weird. It's very freaking weird, man. Come on.
Good? You guys good, Mike? Yeah. Tie down here, other side. Obviously, it's been a little bit since we saw you fight here in Australia. Your last fight was back in the tiny octagon of the Apex. So how good does it feel to be fighting, back in Australia again?
Yeah, good to fight back home. Good to be home. So I'm pumped.
Is fighting in Perth maybe even easier than fighting, back home in Sydney? Because I remember they had like the welcome to the country ceremony and they spoke about you specifically, and it felt like you were maybe had to do a lot more media when fighting in Sydney as opposed to Perth.
No, it's all the same. I still feel like I'm doing a bit of media, but it's home, so I suppose it goes with it.
You got matched up with Jairzinho, and he said he wouldn't use the term happy, but he said it was nice having to prepare for an opponent that he didn't think was going to be shooting on his legs or grappling or anything. So when they matched you up with Jairzinho, were you looking forward to just getting in there, getting in a fist fight?
Yeah, definitely. It's I suppose it's a good fight for both of us. I've been watching him for a while now, so it's they're usually the fights I like to take and challenge myself. So I'm looking forward to it.
I saw on your social media you used the phrase like, my head ain't been too good the last couple of years. I guess as much as you can talk about it, like what was exactly going on in your life that maybe you cleared up?
We're normal people, we got shit goes on, and we deal with it certain ways. I feel like my head's been other places other than fighting, so, and it's been showing in my performances. So, but that's how life goes, and we roll on and we roll through. So I feel like I've gotten over that and ready to roll.
We saw a video of you sparring with Alex Pereira, and even Jairzinho said you can learn something from anyone, especially Alex. So what was it like sparring in there with him?
Yeah, it was kind of my first training session back, and I got the shit punched out of me. So I think I left a few days after that to Dubai, and I was like, yeah, fuck, I better go train.
So we've spoken to a few guys that have sparred with him, and when you use big gloves, it's one thing, but they say like, well, if we had MMA gloves, this would feel a lot different getting punched by him. So what was it like feeling him touch you?
His power was, I fight in heavyweight, so we can take a punch or two, but it was more I hadn't been training. I went in and I was fucking running out of breath and getting the shit punched out of me. So. But that's the sport we do, and it was all fun and games.
We also saw you're going to do the Amazing Race. How'd that come about?
Yeah, the Amazing Race. They just kind of popped up, and I thought it's a bit out of my thing, but it was a great experience that I'll get to do with my brother, and people from where I'm from usually wouldn't get to experience things like that, so it was a great opportunity, and we took it and ran with it.
And just two quick ones for me, unrelated to your fight. I don't know if you saw, but in November they're going to implement some of the rule changes that will allow 12 to 6 elbows, and it's redefined the grounded opponent rule. You can no longer play the game with just a hand on the ground. So I'm curious, did you hear about these rules, and do you think it's been a long time coming?
I don't even think I know the actual rules. So what's you can kick him in the face?
So you can't soccer kick them, but some fighters will put their hands on the ground to avoid getting elbowed or kneed or anything, and now they need another part. You can't just prop your hand up and be considered grounded.
If my hand's on the ground, I'm probably tapping out, so it's probably not for me.
Sure. And I think I know your answer, but how do you see the main event playing out between Israel and Dricus?
I think it's going to be a great fight, but I have to back my boy Izzy. I got a bet with Dricus on the rugby union, so hopefully he'll win that too.
He's getting a couple rugby, some of the Springboks guys walking him out to his fight.
Not if they get smashed on Saturday.
Tyre, back here. The last time you were in Australia, as mentioned, you were fighting in Sydney. I asked you about that, and I wasn't sure if you were still living out there, and you said everyone knows where I live. Since then, you have moved to Dubai. You're a man who reps Western Sydney through and through. Why make that decision, and how difficult was it?
I didn't move there. I lived in Dubai for 3 years when I was on my little winning streak, and Dubai's just a really good place for me. I just go there. I just tune in, and I got one thing to think about, and that's fighting. When I'm home, I got friends, family. I got a few businesses that I have to, and when my head's all around, I'm not thinking about fighting. So, and I'm a normal bloke. If there's parties, there's birthdays. Fuck, I'm usually the first one there. So to be away and to sacrifice those things, it's kind of better for me, and just keeps my head on the fight.
What is the style of training you get out there?
Just focused, I suppose. Fighting is a lot of a mental game, I'm not going to come out and be a fucking wrestler or anything like that, but when I'm there, I just eat, sleep and train, you know what I mean? So it's more just a mental thing for me.
You mentioned those other businesses that you have, Drink West as well as Bam Bam Buds. Are those things that you had dreamed up of doing, and then you approach someone about it? Does someone come to you to set that up? How do that come to be?
No, they're just things that I love. Drinking piss and smoking weed. So it's it kind of goes with, and I suppose that's sort of, I love to fight, so I love to, that's how I make my money. And I believe that in life you should do things that you love.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tai, down here to your left. You mentioned, the little winning streak that you're on, obviously a 5-fight KO streak, and haven't been able to recapture that in the past few fights. But you have been here before, and that 5-fight winning streak came on the heels of that. So does that give you confidence? Back situation before, and you were able to turn it around in a big way?
Oh, definitely there's some pressure, but I've been here before. I'm from Western Sydney. We're on the losing end of the spectrum, but we overcome, and that's what adversity is about, and we come out winners. So yeah, just I'm ready to come back now. Fucking losing shit.
Tai, again, it was 2018 UFC 221, I believe it was, that you had a good win over here. You were probably robbed of a performance of the night bonus that night. Are you keen to get that back on this Sunday?
Oh, extra money I'll never say no to, so I'm keen for actually at the moment, I think that's one thing we've been working on, is just staying, focused and winning, not having to go out there and trying to take someone's head off. But I kind of get to the mix a bit.
And last year you were a guest fighter here for UFC 284. You did the shoey in front of the crowd. The crowd loved you. Obviously, you must be keen to get in there, get the job done, and get that shoey going after winning another fight.
Definitely, it's been a while since drinks, so I'm keen to get a good win and get on it.
We caught up at Welcome to Country this week. It was a fantastic ceremony. You also caught up with another talent in the boxing world who's been described as a generational talent in Alex Winwood. He's got a world title fight coming up on September 7. If he wins that fight, he will break the Australian record and get to a world title fight, 2 fights faster than Jeff Fennick did. So you've obviously had a quick chat to him, but what advice would you give someone like that who's heading into his first world title fight?
No, Alex is a great fighter, and he can put them together really good, and I think he's on the right way. So shout out to my boy Alex.
All the best for the weekend, Tai.
Cheers, bro.
Tai, I know you and yourself and Tyson Pedro mentioned last time in Sydney that you don't really like being called role models for people in Western Sydney, but do you kind of acknowledge that younger generations look up to you, and that there's been a massive surge in the popularity of MMA in general in Western Sydney since you have emerged?
Oh, well, I think the highest number of UFC fighters have come out of Western Sydney. So, in Australia anyway, I think James Tahuna, me, Tyson. We'll make up some more.
Whitaker lives in Western Sydney, if that's
right. Whitaker, he's from Seatown. Mark, we'll claim more. But yeah, look, I get it like a role model, but I'm a normal person. I like to do normal things, and that all it is if chase what you love and do what you love, and that'll you can do whatever you want.
Every time you fight, there's a video that surfaces on social media, and it's an Instagram live of you and. I think you know where I'm going with this. He comes up on your Instagram live and you're just pissing yourself laughing. I just want to know, have you ever
talk to him?
Yeah, I was going to say, have you ever reached out to him? Do you have a relationship with him?
No, I talk with him. He sends me his raps. So I talk to a lot of my fans. Like I said, I'm just a normal bloke. I'm not too good for no one, Unless you're a dickhead, I don't care. We're all normal people. Get along with everyone. But yeah, I still talk to old mate. He picks fruit in Adelaide.
It's one of the best videos ever, honestly. It comes up every time and it's always hilarious. Going to Dubai, I think it was something that Tyson Pedro said before his last UFC fight, is that he liked getting away from the family because it was almost light at the end of the tunnel and a bit of motivation that once he gets through his fight, he's got his family there. Is that something that you've used as well?
Yeah, definitely. I like being out of my comfort zone, because when I'm too comfortable, I can go off track. But yeah, I sacrifice seeing my son for
Kai. Over here. It's obviously been a while since we've last saw you at a media day. So I guess, the last time you were supposed to fight pulled out with some concussion issues. So physically, and how was camp, and how are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, I feel amazing. It's been a great camp. Time away is definitely gave me a lot of clarity. Taking 6 months off contact was probably the best thing I could do. Listening to all the specialists, all the guys there, to save you from yourself. I guess fighters and athletes are always going to be, I guess, too tough for their own good and just want to push through. But sometimes it's better to sit with it and get pulled back to give my best. And I want to be looking at the next 5 years, not just the next year. And I feel the best ever. Just allowed me a lot of time to kind of balance all my other responsibilities, being a father, being a husband, and obviously being a UFC fighter. But back in my normal setting now, I've allowed my body to kind of heal that wear and tear of just fight camps back to back, and just mentally refreshed. So I'm back in my normal setting and ready to get back and remind everyone why I'm one of the best flyweights in the world.
Sticking on this before we talk about Steve, I'm just curious, what's it like? Because when you're out with a leg injury or a ligament injury, you can heal that, you can rehab that, but dealing with the brain is something entirely different. So what was it like being on the sidelines with this sort of injury, not really being able to rehab it or anything?
So for brain injury, obviously we only have one, so you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can, and that means not pushing too much. So every week, just doing enough, which was at the start just going for walks. That was what I was prescribed by the neurologist, the concussion specialist. And then from there, we could do a little bit more, add a bit more stress or a bit more tension to my routine, doing all these different balance tests and eye tests, and with the neurologist, it felt like an exam. I had like a 3-hour exam that I had to do to go, like puzzles and memory tests and drawing tests, and